Well, a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. How you doing? Got time for a nap after work? 8:22 puck drop tonight for the Oilers and the Dallas Stars. We'll get into that. Some good news, Oiler fans. For those of you that are concerned, and probably rightfully so, about the health of a few players, we'll get to that. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta, goes back to community help fund services that make our lives better. Play in Alberta, stay in Alberta at PlayAlberta.ca. I'm Jason Gregor. He is Connor Halley. You can text us at 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our email inbox. We'll get to texts that are already coming in. I love it. Of course, the Oilers taking on the Dallas Stars. It's going to be the same lineup tonight for the Oilers as the one that beat Seattle on Saturday night. You'll have Stuart Skinner starting in goal. You have Nurse and Wallman, Ekholm and Bouchard, Kulak and Stetcher. Up front, you'll have one change, I guess, is Kapanen's going to start the game with Henrique and Hyman. Corey Perry will move to the fourth line with Ryan and Jones. You have Skinner on the left side with Janmark and Brown. And Nugent Hopkins is on fire with 9 points in his last 4 games, including 3 games with 3 points each. He will center Arvidsson and Podkolzin. The Dallas Stars come in. Obviously, no McDavid, no Draisaitl for the Oilers. Draisaitl was on the ice today, as was Emberson, as was Klingberg, as was Kane. Now, Emerson's been healthy the whole time. Klingberg's cleared to play. I think you will see one of those two in the lineup tomorrow night. I won't be surprised to see Emberson play against Seattle tomorrow, and you might see Klingberg play on Saturday against Calgary. We'll see, but they will get some games as they rotate in on the third pair right defense. The Oilers don't have now, so the 12, what they have is what they'll see. Leon Draisaitl not playing tonight. Don't expect him to play tomorrow. Maybe Saturday, but I won't be surprised if you don't see him until next Tuesday in Vegas. Connor McDavid is going to be a little bit longer. No timetable for him. Trent Frederick has resumed skating on his own again. So, he did skate on a Monday, then he didn't skate for the whole rest of the week, but it's a good sign that he's getting back in. Light workouts for him. And maybe sometime next week he can join the team. So if he does, then that means he'll be going on the road trip, which is probably smart, right? Like, you want to be around your teammates at some point, get to know the guys a little bit better, go for team dinners, et cetera, et cetera. And who knows when he'll play. But it ain't going to be until April for sure. And I don't even know if it'll be in the first week of April. We'll see. So that's the update on the health of the Oilers. Meanwhile, the Dallas Stars, their lineup, pretty good. Now, they don't have arguably their best player, definitely their best defenseman in Miro Heiskanen. He's not ready yet, so Thomas Harley will play with Lyubushkin, Lindell and Ceci, Bichelle and Dumba. So the same 6 defense that were there when the Oilers beat the Stars 8 games ago. In goal, Jake Ottinger. Up front, Rupe Hintz. Sick first name, by the way. Rupe. I think he's he's the only Rupe in NHL history thus far. He'll center fellow Finn, Mikko Rantanen, Mason Marchment. You got Duchesne with Granlund and Robertson. Johnston with Dadonov and Ben. Now, the last time they came here, Robertson was playing with Hintz and Rantanen, so they switched him and Marchment. And then Oscar back, Colin Blackwell, and the pride of Ardrossan, Sam Steele, will be the fourth line center tonight for the Dallas Stars. The Stars, of course, last 22 games, best record in the NHL, 15-4-3. They've been good. This will be a tough test for the Oilers. But the truth is, you know what? The Oilers have no time to feel sorry for themselves. Anaheim beat Dallas twice this year. Nashville's beat them. Buffalo's beat them. A few other non-playoff teams have won. And Edmonton's roster tonight is still better than those teams. So, yeah, it's going to be hard. Not going to be easy, but you got to find a way to win. I think the Oilers got to be much better defensively than they were against Seattle. And they have been for a lot of their games recently. So tighten up defensively tonight. I think if they're going to win this game, I would guess it's going to be a low-scoring game. We'll see if that happens. Last night in the NHL, there were some blowouts. Lightning crushed the Penguins. Maple Leafs crushed the Flyers, so they keep pace with one another. The St. Louis Blues, baby. Break up the Blues. They're on fire. Now, they're taking advantage of a fairly easier sked right now, but who cares? They're beating the teams that are in front of them, and they are rolling suddenly. They're 2 points back of Minnesota. The Calgary Flames, who look like they might have just folded because they blew a lead with a minute and a half left. Jordan Eberle ties the game, but then Nazem Kadri wins it in overtime. And the Calgary Flames continue to roll, and they keep pace with St. Louis. Also, they're now 6 back of Minnesota with 2 games in hand. So the Minnesota Wild, who have been kind of, struggling here for a bit, they gotta wake up. Now, the Wild do have 1 game in hand on the Blues, but the St. Louis is 2 back. They've won 7 in a row. Calgary is 6 back, but they have 2 games in hand. So it's going to be a great race, man. The Vancouver Canucks, I guess they still feel they're in it. They're 5 back of the Blues. They have 2 games in hand. Utah, I said it yesterday, but they are done for sure. Utah is out of the picture. If you look at the playoff race last night, can't really kick anybody else out. We had kicked Boston out already. They're done. Detroit gets a lot of luck, as does Columbus, because look at everybody. Like the Canadiens lost. They got spanked. Right? The Rangers lost again in LA. It is a turtle derby. Right now, Montreal holds down the final wildcard spot. They're on pace for 87 points. Last year, you had 91 to get in. This year might be 87. And when they get in, people will say, oh, yeah, they got a chance. Sure, you have a chance. How realistic? I don't know. And that's why I look at the Edmonton Oilers, and the numbers aren't great when you look at teams having to start on the road in the playoffs lately. So last year, round 1, home teams won 7 of 8 series. In 2023, home teams won 6 of 8. 2022, home teams won 6 of 8. So home teams have won 19 of the last 24 in the opening round. You get to round 2. Last year, only 1 team won on the road. You know who it was, the Edmonton Oilers. Round 3, 2 series, Oilers won theirs, being the lower seed. Started on the road, they won. So Edmonton's showing they can do it. That's great. But, when you just look at the numbers, it's not great. And that's why home ice, it's going to be tough because the Kings are playing great, especially at home, and they got a boatload of home games. They got 8 home games left right now. They've won 26 of their first 33 home games. On fire, best home record in the NHL. Now, I get that can change, but when you just look at lately, home ice advantage in the first round definitely matters a lot. Little bit less in the second round. In the Stanley Cup final, yeah, it means a lot. The last team to win the Cup started on the road was the St. Louis Blues back in 2019. The Capitals actually also, they were the lower seed against Vegas in 2018. Blackhawks in 2015, but that was their 3rd Cup in 5 years or 6 years. They had a lot of experience. But it's difficult, man. So, the Oilers, the injuries aren't happening at the right time. And they're going to have to, they're just going to have to play. They're going to have to find ways to win this week to keep going. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, could Kane return before the playoffs? The only way Evander Kane would be able to return before the playoffs is if the Oilers put somebody with with a bigger salary cap hit on LTIR. That's the only way. So, and keep in mind that you'd have to do it before the final 10 games of the season. You can't put a guy in LTIR in the final 2 games, and then it just goes away. So I'm not sure Kane is skating, but he's not ready to play. Like, he hasn't played in 10 months. He's going to have to get up the pace, and he's been playing defense in some of these practices. Like, he's going to have to go through a few bag skates to really get ready. So hey, Gregor, why does everyone say Kane won't go down to the AHL for a conditioning stint? Surely he knows that that's the best way to get up to speed, from Richard. Well, who's saying he won't? Honestly, who said it? Fans? I've never asked him. So I can't sit here and pretend to know if he will or not. But I'll say this. If he goes on a conditioning stint, it's not going to happen until April 10th. If he goes any earlier, then you'd have to activate him, and it won't work because they don't have the cap space. You go April 10th, he gets in his 3 games, Oilers' regular season is over. So that's when you can. So you'll know if he wants to or not by April 10th. It's pretty simple. Anything before then is just pure speculation. And the fact is, he won't go down. A, he's not ready to play. But B, they wouldn't put him down now because then when he comes back up, they have to activate him. So that's not Herbert. Hey, guys, it'd be unreal for the Oilers to win the division and play St. Louis in the first round. Yeah, well, crunch the numbers on trying to catch Vegas. Mathematically, there's a chance. Sure. Realistically, I don't think so. They're 7 back of Vegas. Now, even if they win tonight, they have a game in hand. That would put them 5 back. They'd have 11 games to go. If Vegas goes 6-5 in their 11 games, that gets them 106 points. The Oilers then would need 107 because they wouldn't win a tiebreaker because Vegas has 10 more regulation wins right now, so they're not going to win the tiebreaker. So really, it's like they're 6 points behind. So you got to gain 6 points in 11 games. They go 6-5. The Oilers have to go 9-2. Mathematically possible, yes. Realistic, nah, I don't think so. So that's where they're at. Yeah, it's still a chance, but I think it's a pretty slim chance. On the show today, we got a loaded show for you. Mike Rupp will join us, analyst on the NHL Network. We'll hear from Josh Bogarad. Will join us, talk about Dallas. They're on fire, hottest team in the league over the last 22 games. We'll hear from Adam Henrique in the 3 o'clock hour. We got Tyler Yaremchuk. Rich Winter will join us. The business of sports today, the commissioner of the Western Hockey League. So how do you become the commissioner of the WHL? We'll talk to Dan Neer about that. And then also the big announcement, expansion from a business standpoint for the WHL. Why does it make sense? Well, I think I know why. The number I'm hearing as to what the expansion cost, woohoo, mama. Big. Real big. How about like 16 mil big? It's pretty big. So, Spec will be by. We'll hear from Dennis Bernstein on the playoff push and more. So a loaded Wednesday afternoon on Sports 1440, the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We'll come back with Mike Rupp.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features, including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank. Plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products. 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you can rest easy. You're getting a great deal this month. So hurry in now. Lease the 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander for as low as $31,898. That's $7,000 off. Finance for 36 months with 0% available. You'll also enjoy an available $2,000 trade rebate, plus an available $1,000 loyalty rebate. Don't forget a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer warranty. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Metal Supermarkets is locally owned, locally operated. They love this city and serving its people. We're talking metal cut to your exact specifications, fast. In fact, at Metal Supermarkets, they're as Edmontonian as checking your basement sump pump in the spring. And, oh no, not good. But on the bright side, I do need to work on my backstroke. And don't even get me started on my butterfly. Count on the local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
A few years ago, I was doing okay, but the rising cost of living has made my credit card bills go through the roof, and I don't know how to handle it anymore.
Times are tough. The cost of living is causing many to fall into debt through no fault of their own. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and stressed. There are options that can help you get back on your feet. My name is Parveen Middleton, and I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I can help you find a solution to become debt-free. Visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
We get some rules to follow.
They go, no, I think you're confusing that the men, like, are, no, there's.
To buy the Edmonton Oilers, secure your spot inside Rogers Place during this year's Stanley Cup playoffs by becoming an Oilers full or half-season seat holder for the 2025-26 season. Visit edmontonoilers.com/season seats to join the pre-sale list today.
The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
2:20. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a lovely day. It is game day. It's just a little bit later. Puck drop tonight. Get used to it, Oiler. You got to get used to playoff mode now. 8:22 will be the puck drop tonight. 8:22. So, hey, you know what? That's earlier because probably you get into the first round against LA. There's going to be some 8:52 start times. Yowza. But hey, that's all right. We'll take it. Better than not having the playoffs, right, Oiler fans? You'll take it. Late start, no start. You'll always take the late start. Guaranteed. Let's go in the room now, brought to you by Action Electrical, as they continue to help you take actions with your savings. And solar is a way to save a lot of money, whether you want it on your home or your business. Find out how you can get federal tax rebate up to 30% capital costs. So check it out, actionelectrical.ca. net as a Mike Rupp, Stanley Cup winner, ace analyst for the NHL Network and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Joins us as always. He does every Wednesday. Rupper, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, Greg. How you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm all right. We're getting into this playoff push. I'll say this: like, it's a turtle derby in the East, but it's still an exciting turtle derby.
Yeah.
Like, they move like a millimeter a day kind of thing right now. And you look at the difference between the East and the West wildcard races. Probably have to look no further than St. Louis putting Montreal over their knee and spanking them last night, because that was a dominant win. And the Habs are still in the playoff spot. They're a point up on the Islanders. They're a point up on the Rangers with 2 games in hand, and they're 2 points up on the Columbus Blue Jackets. And even the Detroit Red Wings can say they still have a chance. They're 3 back. Montreal does have a game in hand, as does the Islanders, as does Columbus. So we'll see. I'm on the verge of wanting to count Detroit out, but I can't do it just yet.
It's kind of frustrating, though, when you're talking about the Eastern Conference, because we saw the same thing last year. You remember last year how teams kind of, whether it's the big conversation last year was that you had the Washington Capitals that were like minus 30-some in goal differential. They make the playoffs, but the New York Islanders kind of like back their way in. Kind of looks like there's that road or that path to do that again now. I mean, you're watching last night, and it's like I'm thinking to myself, like, the Rangers lost against a really good team that's dominant at home in the LA Kings, but it's like the Islanders might back their way in again, and you just want to see teams kind of grabbing a hold of a playoff spot. And in the East, that's not the case. Out West, again, it feels a little bit better. It feels like teams like St. Louis, who've been on a run lately, they should be good. They've got themselves kind of in a really good spot here, and they actually have probably closed more on the teams above them. But that's what you want to see. I don't want to see teams backing in the East. I'm kind of disappointed.
Oh, I agree with you. And so you got that. But then on the other side, you got the St. Louis Blues, Rupper, and they are just, they're steamroll now. They're not playing the toughest competition, but they're beating all the teams they should beat right now. And you know what? The Oiler fans, they can't even watch because Dylan Holloway is now up to 60 points.
He's been incredible. I mean, I hate to say this for Oilers fans, but Doug Armstrong's got to be up there for GM of the year. The stuff what he's pulling here. I mean, I'll even say we know about the offer sheets, and we don't need to talk about that. Those 2 guys have been incredible. But even the Cam Fowler move that they made, and everybody wondered, like, why are you getting an older defenseman? You already have a pretty old D core, and it's just worked out really well for them. And you're right. I was looking at St. Louis yesterday, and they haven't really had murderer's row as of late, but they've been taking care of business, and that's what good teams do. And then I think if you go back, whatever their 6 or 7 games, they lost 2, and then they won, I think, 4 in a row prior to that. Those 4 games that they won in a row were against really good teams. So, they're finding a way right now. I'm impressed. I'm impressed at what they're doing, and they all of a sudden, it seems like overnight from last season to this year, and we know about the Brandon Saad situation and the termination of the contract, mutually agreeing, and they kind of Jake Neighbors in there. They're spunky, man. They got some speed in that lineup, and but the biggest thing for me, they defend really hard, and that gives them a chance to win every night.
What about the Minnesota Wild, Rupper? All of a sudden, the Blues are 2 points behind them. The Calgary Flames are 6 back with 2 games in hand.
I'm kind of nervous for them, and I brought it up 2 days ago on NHL, and I was just like, is anybody else concerned here? I'm starting to kind of go down that path, and it kind of felt like they're still okay. And then 2 days later, I'm like, no, I'm concerned because Calgary's taking care of business. Calgary's getting points. I mean, I don't know. I don't know until that team gets healthy. They're kind of in hang on mode, and that's such a dangerous place to be for the Minnesota Wild. And the biggest thing is they just can't score goals. It just seems like everything they do right now, they work so hard to get any kind of opportunities. Every goal seems like it takes so much effort, and I've been on teams like that. That's a hard place mentally where it's just. Because then if you have one lapse defensively, you're like, oh, it's exhausting. And that's what it kind of feels like watching them right now. So I am concerned for them. I still think they should be okay. I think they're a good team, but they're getting kind of in that nervous land right now for me.
Yeah, for sure. The one game tonight, obviously in Edmonton, we'll get to that in a second, but the Canucks and the Islanders, both teams currently outside of the playoff spot, but by the slimmest of margins, really. The Islanders are 1 back of Montreal. Meanwhile, the The Vancouver Canucks, they got games in hand. They're 5 back of St. Louis with 2 games in hand. So both teams desperately need to win and bare minimum a single point. And, these two teams obviously made the big Bo Horvat deal in the past. What do you make of the Canucks and the Islanders? Like, obviously, the Islanders are kind of exact same team they were last year, whereas Vancouver is infinitely worse than where they were at this time last year.
Yeah, I mean, Vancouver still they have star power in Quinn Hughes. I mean, he's so good and what he can do. So in Thatcher Demko, I know Lankinen's been incredible. He earned his extension that he's gotten there. I thought Thatcher Demko looked awesome against the Devils the other night. I think continually watching him and what he is, he if he's healthy, I mean, he could be an X factor. I mean, I think he's got that ceiling, and he was a Vezina type guy last year. He certainly can be a superstar for them. And Elias Pettersson's starting to heat up. So I think those are the main things for me. Outside of those 3, I don't love the Vancouver Canucks. As far as them being a playoff team or really kind of earning their spot, they can get in, I think, if there's some teams crumbling around them. On the other side, the New York Islanders, who, again, may back into the playoffs, like we mentioned. But I've been watching a couple of their games. I was ice level against the Penguins the other day. They're playing a fast game. They're giving up these late leads. And that's where they're getting themselves in trouble. But they're playing a quick game, not necessarily the speed at which they place as far as skating, but their decision making, snapping the puck around. I've been kind of impressed by them. So, they certainly, the door's been left open. The Rangers are leaving the door open for the Islanders. The Montreal Canadiens have been a great story. I don't know if they got enough in their tank. The Ottawa Senators have done enough where they should be good. So I don't know. I think the Islanders are probably, of the 2 teams, the one I think has the best chance of getting in.
Mike Rupp joins us. Rupper, the Oilers, you mentioned the LA Kings right now, the best home record in the National Hockey League. And they're ahead of the Oilers by 2 points. Edmonton's without McDavid and Draisaitl again tonight. They won't play tomorrow. I don't think they're going to play on Saturday either. So, I said at the start of the week, Edmonton has to find a way to win 2 out of 3 games. And hey, you know what? Injuries suck, especially when it's your 2 best players. But the truth of the matter is you got to find ways to win games. They did it against Seattle. We'll see. Dallas obviously is an infinitely tougher opponent tonight. But could the injuries have any sort of silver lining to you in the fact that other guys are going to get more opportunity here, and maybe you get a few other offensive guys feeling good about their game?
Yeah, I think that's bang on. And here's the thing. Obviously I could be way off here, because if you are missing 2 guys like that and your team just is losing every night, that's a bad thing. I think this is an Oilers team that's in a good spot. They've gotten themselves to a spot where they should be fine. And now having these guys out, this is where I think it's the silver lining, or there's a positive. If you are struggling and maybe not getting the results you want, the silver lining is, Batman, Robin, whatever you want to call them, they're coming back through the door here at some point. We will be better when we get them back. But the other side of it too, with the opportunities that present themselves, if the team responds, like we saw Nuge getting that hat trick and getting going, I mean, these are all things that maybe the rest of the lineup can start feeling better about themselves. I always felt like, as a team, when the stars go down, it was more opportunity for me and everybody else on the team. Of course, I know when those guys come back, that's not going to be there. But at least in that stretch, you can kind of find who your guys are. They're going to elevate their game, but also it makes me feel better about my game. And hey, we can contribute. And when those guys come back, you just playing with more confidence. So I think it's something that can certainly help this Oilers team. I mean, but if they're going to do any damage, obviously they got to have both those guys healthy and in their lineup.
Mike Rupp joins us, analyst for the NHL Network, also analyst for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Rupper, the home ice advantage. I looked it up in the playoffs, and hey, everybody likes upsets. The last few years, there hasn't been many in the first round. Last year, the road team won 1 series. The year before, and the year before that, in the first round, the road team won 2 series. Now the Oilers did win on the road twice last year, right? They were the team to do it in the second and the third round, winning in Vancouver and Dallas. And obviously there's McDavid and Draisaitl, so there's lots of other things. They're going to get Trent Frederick back maybe just in time for the playoffs, maybe a week or 2 before. They're going to get Evander Kane. So, Edmonton's playoff roster could look a lot different. But, what do you make of the Kings and their home playoff record. And do you think it's like sustainable come playoff time for them?
Yeah, I mean, I always find it so weird and so tough to predict that. The only thing I feel like is something that you can hang your hat on, and maybe not even that's the wrong way of putting it. When the team stinks on the road, I think there's something there. When a team cannot perform on the road, for me, there's something there. When a team's dominant at home, that doesn't mean it's going to translate automatically into the playoffs. Like, I don't know. It's just something for me. Like, even when you look at the Kings, I mean, they have 3 regulation losses. It's impressive. It's incredible. Their road records, meh, it's okay. So what do you make of them as a team? Are you going to say they're a good home team and just an average? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to put that together. I think, I guess my reasoning behind that is, the road, it provides different scenarios. It gets uncomfortable on the road at times. So if you struggle in those situations, you're going to struggle in playoff hockey. You're going to have to win on the road. You're going to have to win in hostile environments or when things are stacked up against you. So that's why I like pay attention to bad road records.
Okay.
But they're really good at home. I don't really pay all that much attention to it. I mean, they're going to love that. I mean, you always want to get home ice. If that team can climb in the standings and get home ice for a round or two, that's huge for them. They have been dominant there, but I don't really think that means much going into the playoffs, to be honest.
I know, and that's totally valid, right? I think I kind of agree with you on, like, if you're that bad on the road, why are you that bad on the road, right? Like,
Yeah.
Maybe you're not getting last change, it's a little bit more uncomfortable, who knows? But because at the end of the day, when the end of the season comes, you played every Eastern team home and away. You played most teams in your division home and away evenly. There's obviously the teams in the other division in your conference that half of them you played one extra game at home, the other half you played an extra game on the road. So it's really not that much of a difference. So I just, I look at the Kings, and to me, when I broke down those 3 series, it came down to special teams. The Oilers absolutely obliterated them in special teams. And so it's going to probably come down to that again. Although the fact that Edmonton, like Trent Frederick, I know Oiler fans are getting impatient, and it's valid.
Yeah.
They traded for him, and the guy he's not even skating with the team yet, right? Here you are almost 3 weeks from the trade deadline, and they're hoping to have him in the lineup, and there was obviously a little bit of a setback, and so we'll see. But when him and Kane come in, Rob, they're both skilled, but they're both so aggressive that brings something Edmonton hasn't had all year long.
So depending on those two things, that's huge. I mean, that is enormous. This is a team that we know they need to have some depth scoring. They need to have some depth oomph of any sort. Both those guys bring it. So if you're able to add both those guys back into your lineup and get them acclimated, that's enormous. And I hate to always go back to years ago and, at one time I mean, Evander Kane, we've seen him dominate in the playoffs. Like, we've seen him dominate. So can you get back to that? That's a lot to ask for when he's been out for so long. But I mean, he's a straight line guy. He goes to those areas. For Trent Fredericks, the same way. I think Oiler fans are going to love him and what he brings to the table. They're just guys that their game translates to playoff time. I don't know another way of putting it. So adding 2 guys like that, I think is a huge boost in the fact that they play the same way in a lot of ways. So I think that this will be a big shot in the arm for the Oilers.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when they get in for certain. Lastly, I want to get your thoughts on the Atlantic Division.
Okay.
And the Maple Leafs and the Panthers each have 89 points. Both have 35 regulation wins. You got to go to the second tiebreaker where the Leafs have more regulation/overtime victories. So that puts them in on the tiebreaker. And then Tampa Bay is 2 points back. Like, you really can't get much closer than those 3 teams, Rupper. And how vital do you think that first place is? And do you see these teams kind of playing for that maybe they won't be resting guys because they want to finish first?
Yeah, getting that first spot is huge. I mean, there's no easy passes, but if you can avoid the 2-3 in the Atlantic, that's enormous. I think all 3 teams have a legitimate case to make a long run in the postseason here. And so I think finishing in that top spot, it's everything. So it's going to be interesting watching these teams down the stretch. You got Florida, who's still trying to get healthy. Tampa was kind of going through it for a little bit until they exploded against the Penguins yesterday. That should help the confidence a little bit, but this Tampa team, there's something in me that just thinks that this team's set up for a long run again. I don't know what it is. So I kind of have them finding a way to win that division. But man, I think whoever wins that division has an immensely easier schedule, which doesn't even mean anything sometimes. Sometimes you can't pick and choose who you want in the playoffs and think it's going to be an easy road. It's the NHL playoffs, but you're going to try to do and take care of what you can. That top spot is everything. I think Tampa is probably my pick to win it, that division right now, but lots of things can change.
Awesome stuff, man. We really appreciate it. We will talk to you again next Wednesday, Rupper. Enjoy the game tonight, man. Are you on the TNT broadcast tonight?
Nope, not tonight. No, not on there tonight. So you guys enjoy the games.
You're just in the brick house there behind you. So
yeah, I'm just I'm at the MLB Network studios. Look, they're getting ready for opening day. Opening day tomorrow, MLB Network. So I'm using the baseball studio right now. So
do you have a team that you root for in baseball, Rupper?
Yeah. So I'm from Cleveland, so I'm a Guardians guy. But now that I live in New Jersey, I'm kind of gone to the dark side with the Yankees a little bit. So yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Do you ever go to baseball games?
Yeah, I love baseball. I go to baseball games, and I grew up going all the time. Like that was my childhood, and then just kind of getting in hockey post playing, it kind of gotten away from it a little bit. So.
Oh, okay. Well, man, you must have loved Major League then. It's got to be one of your favorite movies.
Top 5 movies ever. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like honestly, who wouldn't have wanted to be Ricky Vaughn, the Wild Thing, the first time he came out of the
best. The bullpen, Ricky Vaughn. Yeah, a little side note. So when I went to so that movie, I want to say that movie came out 93. Was it? Yeah, it was like early 90s, right around that time. And so I used to go to the Indians games at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, and so they had. Remember in the movie, they're playing the Yankees for the American League Championship or whatever, the pennant, and they do a flyover, and that was actually shot because most of the movie I think was filmed in Milwaukee. That live action shot was in the stadium, and they filled it up, and it was actually an Indians game that they said they were going to be videoing for the Scenics for the movie, and I was at the game. My parents took me to the game, and so that's kind of my claim to fame in that movie. So it was awesome.
I love it. Awesome stuff, Rupper. Thanks, my man. Have a great day.
Awesome. You too. Bye-bye.
That's Mike Rupp joining us. Hey, MLB Network, NHL Network, side by side. And yeah, it is first pitch in MLB tomorrow. We're waiting. Still no Guerrero announcement. There's been some rumblings that it might happen. We'll see. Now, I don't even look. Cons, did the Jays open on the road or at home?
I believe they're at home. Tomorrow at I want to say it's in the 1 o'clock hour.
Because like if there was now, maybe they're like, you know what, it's opening day. We don't need to announce it then. And that'd probably be fine. Then wait for day 2 or 3 or something. Like if you're gonna sign him, you better sign him right away. Because your fan base, like give them a reason to like you again. How I would look at it. Give them a reason to like you. It wouldn't be a bad one.
It would go a long way.
Yeah, it definitely would. 2:40, quick break. We'll return. We got more on the Oilers and their opponent tonight, the Dallas Stars. Rarely good team. They made some switches in the top 6. We'll find out why when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
There's an old saying that goes, many hands make light work. We believe that at GS Construction. So what does it mean? It means a task is easier to complete when many people work together. It also means that GS Construction is preparing for the start of the 2025 season and is hiring. Currently, we're on the lookout for top men and pipe layers. So if you're one of those skilled pros who know how to do your job safely and efficiently, we're interested. Come join a team that's as solid as the infrastructure we build and maintain. Visit tsconstruction.ca today.
If you or someone you care for are injured in a motor vehicle accident, please listen up. I'm Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physiotherapy, and let me proudly say that we won't be the place your insurer tells you to go. We won't be the place because we don't sign agreements with the insurance company. We don't work for them, we work for you. We do want to be the place that your friends, family, and other medically trained professionals send you. So if your insurance company says that you have to see their therapist, you should know that's not true. You have the right to choose where you go, and we hope you choose us. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
After the next hockey game, you can have your say with the Sports 1440 postgame show. This is your host, Andrew Walker. Join us and give your takes on the game, good or bad. It's all brought to you by the Ridge Social Eatery in St. Albert. The postgame show on Sports 1440.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Okay. Hi there, this is Riverside Motorsports, Yamaha, Suzuki, KTM, Polaris, Gas, Husqvarna, Tibbersled, Stasic, Talaria, Climb, Thor, Alpine Stars, 509, Troy Lee Designs, and more. Sales, how can I help you?
Located on St. Albert Trail, rideriverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. At participating McDonald's in Canada.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. Sherbrooke is a house of curiosities, a mom and pop, a curated experience that is equal parts wine tastings and 2 fours from a long. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$2.44. A big shout out for anybody, any high school students. Do you know where the Orange Hub is, Cons? Stony Plain Road and 157th Street. Tonight, there's a work experience program with the fire cadets. Anyone can go there and check it out. Chris asked us to mention that. So anybody looking for some work experience, get down to the Orange Hub tonight, Stony Plain Road and 157th Street. You can just Google Edmonton Fire Cadets. So
is that the old Grant McEwen?
Yes, that's right.
Campus? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It is. That's a good name for it. It's very descriptive.
The Orange Hub. Yeah. Well, you know what it is. It was a very, very unique color of a building. I would say that in its heyday, for sure. Now let's go around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's. And how about the McValue meals for $5.99? Cheeseburger Deluxe, a Junior McChicken. Get them now for less than 4 beans only at McDonald's. As we welcome in the voice of the Dallas Stars, Josh Bogarad. Josh, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Good to be here.
I guess my first question is the Robertson march. Since the last time we saw the Stars, which was 8 games ago, the one kind of small tweak was they swapped Marchman and Robertson on the left side in the top 2 lines. Any specific reason why, and how has the change worked?
It was just a mid-game swap that they've done a couple of times. It's something that Pete DeBoer in his 3 years in Dallas has done when the teams just look like they've needed an offensive spark. We'll see how things get going tonight, but the way they rolled out in morning skate, it looked like it would be Robertson back with Hintz and Rantanen.
Okay.
You know, you think back to that game 2.5 weeks ago here. They had just completed the trade. It was right after the deadline. They had just completed the trade for Mikko. Rantanen comes in. You've got these ideas of how it's going to look. You've got a relationship with Rope Hintz. They've played together internationally before. They're about the same age. And then Hintz takes a puck to the face in that game, leaves, misses a couple after that. Rantanen's head has to be swirling with everything that had happened. He's got to go back to Colorado to play a game against the Avalanche before he ever played a home game with the Stars and signed the 8-year extension. So there was a lot going on. They never really got runway to try that line together. Hintz worked his way back. The team as a whole, they've been picking up points. They've been picking up wins, but still just trying to fine tune everything in these last, 8 to 10 games. And so the stats look great, but the eyeball test shows that there's probably still another gear that they had, one that they were at a little bit earlier in the season. So that's why you see some of those in-game adjustments. But I think that the plan, at least for the short term, is to give that trio runway to try and find their sea legs before the playoffs arrive. But again, in game, Pete, he pushes buttons, and he's pushed them very successfully in his Dallas tenure.
So fair to say maybe they haven't loved how they've played overall. Like hey, when you get wins, no one ever gets that upset about a win. But what is it about their game that they would like to fine tune?
Yeah, it's funny because it's a good place to live, right? When you've got 3 regulation losses since the Four Nations break. I mean, things are obviously going really well. They were one of the best teams in the NHL last year, and they're ahead of that pace 70 games in this year. They're literally 3rd best record in the league, and 2nd in the West, only to Winnipeg, who's just had an incredible season. So, it does definitely remind you that you're in a really good spot. But I think all in all, this is a team that the last couple of years has been really, really good defensively, and they've been really good offensively too. They don't feel like they need to win games 6-5, but they can. They don't need to win games 2-1, but they can. They'd rather be a 5-1 team, and right. They look like that a lot. But not so much lately. There are a lot of big numbers going against them. Other teams were getting a 3 repeatedly, and that definitely was not the case when they were one of, if not the top defensive team for a big part of the season. Offensively, it had been there, a lot of power play driven, but not so much 5-on-5. So look, you got to win the game that you're in, and we're about 3 weeks away from the regular season ending and playoffs really only mattering about winning the game you're in. So they've been doing that, but I think they'd like to get back to more 5-on-5 production, not be so reliant on the power play, and then certainly limiting the opposition more than they have, say, the last few weeks.
Okay, fair enough. And so, hey, you know what? Teams and coaches are always looking to improve, and those are some of the areas that they want to improve. Now, they'll be facing an Oilers team that's going to look a lot different tonight. There's no McDavid, there's no Draisaitl.
Yeah.
And like I wonder, about a Dallas team if they're kind of like, oh, no McDavid, no Draisaitl, this could probably be a win for us. I'm sure that's maybe something they talk about, but how do you think they approach that game tonight without the 2 superstars in Edmonton?
It's funny because this morning, Pete, he does his media scrum after morning skate, and the press here in Edmonton, the Dallas press, they all huddle around and ask questions. And the first question was, all right, we just saw this team 2.5 weeks ago, but with those guys out of the lineup, does it feel like a different team? And you could kind of see Pete pause a little bit because, of course, right? You take Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl out of the lineup, and in a lot of ways, it doesn't even seem recognizable because of how big they are and what would be to any team. And yet at the same time, look, Hyman was fantastic in that first game. It was weird for them because it was right after the trade deadline as well. They still have some pieces, and you just have to look at their last victory against Seattle to show you that they can still be extremely dangerous. But the reality is, 2 things can be true at the same time. It is a significantly different and not as good roster as one you're used to seeing when you come into this building. And it's also still got the potential to be a very dangerous roster. And I think that what Pete DeBoer and this Stars team has done is, look, they've played a lot of hockey the last few years. They're not all going to be playoff games. They can't all feel like playoff games, but it's been a really good veteran core that's kind of guided this team, and they hold each other accountable. They don't sleepwalk through segments of the season, and they don't sleepwalk their way into games if other teams are missing opponents. They know that that's an easy way to get caught immediately. And so I'm sure the conversation is had. I mean, it's only human nature to understand that it is a different look. But I think the guys in the room, given where they are, given the races that are still at stake, they can look at each other with help from the leadership group, the coaching staff, and remind one another that, look, the last road trip didn't go that well for Dallas. The last start of the first 40 minutes in this building 2.5 weeks ago didn't go that well. It doesn't matter who's in and who's out of the other lineup. You got to play this game right from the outset, and I'm sure that's the message going forward.
Looking at Dallas now, Miro Heiskanen, I know the coach was asked about him today. He's still not skating, and they're hoping he'll get skating here in a few weeks. Like, are you confident he'll be ready for the playoffs? Is there some concern that maybe he won't?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can be confident at this point because of how close we are. You know, a couple weeks ago, he was asked about that, or I should say a week ago, he was asked about that a few games ago back in Dallas. And he said they have to be ready for the possibility that they might have to start without him. Now, that doesn't mean it's a certainty. It doesn't mean that it isn't. It just means that we don't know, because 3 weeks, depending on your lens, can feel like a really long time or a really short time. But the two big components who have been out of your lineup for a while are Tyler Seguin and Miro Heiskanen. And Seguin is on the trip, skating with the team, hasn't taken contact yet, and isn't close to a return in any upcoming games or anything like that. There's still no timetable. But when you got one guy skating with the team and one not, clearly they're on different timelines. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's possible that you might have to go in without him. I know the Stars and Miro are hoping that that's not the case, but 3 weeks are going to be pretty telling here.
What was the actual injury? Knee?
It was the stone play in Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, it was that weird lunging play, and you could see it was ugly when he went down and immediately started like clutching, and he hasn't seen the ice since. So it was one of those that was unfortunate to watch in real time. It's, you know, it looks bad and you're hoping for the best, and obviously, you know, still continuing to cross your fingers and hope, and that's just where they are.
Yeah, and obviously that would be a massive loss, but you got that Harley kid, and he has been really good for the Dallas Stars, no question. I think a lot of people saw him at the Four Nations, and people maybe who didn't see him a lot were like, he's pretty good. Wasn't a surprise to me. He's a heck of a player. But what about the third pair in Dallas right now? How have they played?
Yeah, I mean, it's got some sandpaper to it. That's the pair of Leon Bichel, who, if people don't know, he's a 20-year-old and he's 6'7". He's a mountain of a human being, and he plays with an edge. You know, there's always 6'7" guys who don't necessarily play like they're 6'7". Bichel is 6'7", and sometimes it feels like he plays like he's 7'7". He loves that physical brand of hockey. And this time of year, this is the first time he's going through it at the NHL level. He's rising to that occasion, mixing it up after whistles. He's involved. You notice him out there. Still just 20 years old, so in the infancy of his career. And then Matt Dumba, who has never shied away from the physical side of the game. So I think they add an element to the Stars roster that maybe hasn't been there as much in recent years. You know, clearly it's like most teams, it's a defense that leans heavily on their top guys. And without Heiskanen, you're down a pretty big one. But Harley is playing 25 plus minutes in his absence. And then Esa Lindell, who's as good as a defensive defender that you'll find in the league, they'll lean on him when they need to. I know Edmonton fans know all about Cody Ceci. He's fit in really well since his trade earlier, and Ilya Lyubushkin has had a very strong season his first go round. The Heiskanen loss is a big one, and you talk about ice time and how you use everything. It's the same as we just talked about what the Oilers are going to look like without 97 and 29. You remove players like that, and certainly there's a residual effect. But Harley has very much looked the part as the number one guy when they've needed him to be. And then that third pair has kind of answered the challenge playing with one another, and they definitely add an element that makes the other team know when they're on the ice.
Josh, man, always good to catch up with you. We appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll see you the Stars in Colorado, man. It's destined. It looks like it's going to be a first-round playoff series, and whoo, is that going to be juicy?
Yeah, I mean, the Stars are going to try to keep picking up points and chase down what seems to be an unchaseable down opponent. But if that is it, then it'll be a must-watch series, and I guess we'll find out in a few weeks. But it's always a pleasure being here, and good luck to you guys down the stretch. We'll catch up soon, I'm sure.
You betcha. That's Josh Bogarad, the voice of the Dallas Stars. And, trying to catch Winnipeg, who won again last night. So let's say the Jets just go 5-5 in their last 10 games. They'll finish with 112 points. That means that the Dallas Stars need 18 points in their final 12 games. You got to go 9-3. And even that wouldn't be enough. Probably have to go 9-2-1 because they wouldn't get the tiebreaker. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be Dallas and it's going to be Colorado. And really, they're battling for a home ice advantage right now. Dallas has the advantage there for sure. So we shall see. Coming up after 3:00, we'll hear from Adam Henrique. Had a one-on-one sat down with Henrique, talked about a lot of different things from, like increased opportunities for him and more. And, just kind of getting settled now, first full season in Edmonton and, the playoff hype. He's kind of been all or nothing in his career. Made the Stanley Cup final in 2012, first year in the league, and then played 4 playoff games until going to the Cup final again last year. So talk about that. We got Yaremchuk. I don't have the business of sports. Rich Winter, Dan Neer, the commissioner of the WHL, and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Actually, let's get to a sports update brought to you by, Jesus, forgot we're going to update cons. That was my bad. That was a big fail on a Wednesday afternoon. Brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month continues at GMC. You can get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on a 2025 Sierra HD model. See more at gmccanada.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
It is game day. The Edmonton Oilers in action tonight down at Rogers Place hosting the Dallas Stars. This one gets going at 8 o'clock. Pregame coverage with Walker and Paulson gets going at 6 right here on Sports 1440. Also tonight, you got the Canucks in New York taking on the Islanders. Blackhawks host the Devils and the Bruins in Anaheim. In the association, the Toronto Raptors in action tonight. They'll take on the Brooklyn Nets at 5:30. Also the Sixers and the Wizards. Lakers in Indiana. Knicks host the Clip. Bucks in Denver, and the Suns taking on the Boston Celtics. PWHL action tonight. Toronto and Boston to take on the Fleet. That'll start at 5 o'clock. In the AJ, Kodiak's hosting Calgary with the Canucks leading that series 2-1. Port Mac takes on Whiteport, trailing 2-1. Canmore and Drumheller meeting in Drumheller. Dragons up 2-1 in that one, and the Storm looking to complete the sweep over the Bobcats tonight out in Lloyd. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll get to the Oil Report, ask 5 questions, and be joined by Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
There's one. And another. No, not spring flowers yet, but rather huge deals. It's GMC's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick. Nab 0% financing up to 72 months on our most popular Sierra half-tons, or massive discounts starting at $8,000. Choose your truck from a great selection, like the fabulous all-new Canyon, right up to the trailer-hauling Sierra HD with the industry-leading Duramax diesel. Spring into Wolf GMC Buick today and snag your truck, and see the savings at wolfgmcbuick.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Blue Jays baseball is back on Sports 1440. This Saturday and Sunday, listen live to the broadcast of Canada's favorite team. Proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball. We are Sports 1440.
With the lead up to the playoffs underway, players are definitely stepping up their game.
And the fans are doing the same. Simple snacks like chips and dip may work at the front half of the season, but now more and more fans are rocking the Wilhauk beef jerky for game time get-togethers.
Just make sure you bring enough for everyone if you want to be invited back for the playoffs.
Make your next hockey game day a Will Hockey game day with Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win games with salad.
Mr. Ruther checks off his bucket list.
Skydiving is tops on my list.
I want to go to Bali. What's at the top of your bucket list, Mr. Ruther?
Definitely the Rubbermaid H2864R. It has 14 quarts of capacity with a spill-free pour spout and a corrosion-resistant handle. Wow, what a bucket.
You know that a bucket list isn't a list of nice buckets, right?
I do. That's how good this bucket is.
For a plumber with buckets of plumbing passion, call Mr. Ruther.
Riverside Marine and Motorsports are back for the 2025 Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show, March 21st and 23rd. Discover new 2025 models and exclusive offers like Yamaha finance rates and big rebates. Riverside Marine and Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Well, turn me loose. Oiler fans are hoping someone's singing that tonight. Who will be the player to step up? Because they're going to need some guys. Last game it was Nugent Hopkins. Right, had a three goal game. It was excellent. They're going to need someone. And probably, I would say maybe more defensively, they're going to need a real strong defensive game. It was interesting listening to Josh talk about how Dallas has maybe been a little bit too leaky as of late. And, you know, and I think you had McDavid Draisaitl in the lineup tonight. It might be a little different story. But if you're the Edmonton Oilers, stay out of the box against this power play. The Stars power play is deadly right now. And then second of all, you can't give them as many chances as you gave Seattle. If you do that, probably looking at a loss. So we'll find out. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Lotto 649, the classic, the original, the OG, as the kids like to say, the OG. $36 million tonight, and the classic jackpot of $5 million at PlayAlberta.ca. Get your tickets. Let's go to the oil report. Brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton, and their showroom event is on now. It's the biggest sale of the year. You can get 1.49% to 1.99% on XC60s, XC90s, save an additional $3,500 to $5,500. So stop in now, get a great vehicle and even better service at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And I had a chat one-on-one with Adam Henrique, just, sitting down with him and, talking about the opportunity. And, for him, like basically his entire career has been a top six forward. Got traded to Edmonton. He was for a bit and then obviously moved into the bottom six. And so is it like riding a bike? When you get the opportunity, is it easy to just go back in?
I don't know, easy, but maybe you put a little more pressure to be like, hey, to step up and perform and try to be a difference maker in those situations. Things change a little bit. You might play some more minutes, play some different positions, maybe some more, offensive zone opportunities, those sort of things, power play. So, you try to take advantage of those. Anytime you can get more ice or more opportunity, you always try to perform. Obviously you want everyone to know you can play in those positions if needed or if called upon, because things happen. Guys get injured, guys get hurt, line combinations change constantly, like a lot of those little things. So, certainly nice to get on the board last game. And I thought a lot of guys did a great job stepping up throughout the entire lineup.
Is it more of an opportunity that maybe it's a positive that more guys are going to get more puck touches here down the stretch, and that could feather in when everybody is back healthy, that the lineup's better?
Yeah, you hope so. It always helps getting touches all over the ice in those situations, and can certainly help grow the confidence within yourself and within the group or who you're playing with, or like I said, just trying to take advantage of those opportunities. So, obviously we want those guys back as soon as possible, because we know everything that's on the line here and down the stretch, every single point is very important. So, you got to go with the group that's in here and go on any given night, and everybody's got to find a way to chip in and find a way to be difference makers now. It's a big, it's just that time of the year. You need everybody stepping up and trying to find a way to contribute.
You guys had a real hectic schedule for a while. It's a little bit slower right now. And even into April, there's not a lot of back-to-backs anymore. Even different than last year. If you remember down the stretch, you guys played a ton of games. Can there be a benefit there? Or does it really matter come playoff time?
Obviously the back-to-backs probably play a little bit more of a role, I guess, unless you're sometimes you get into that rhythm with the day in between games. You play, and this time of year, there's not a lot of practice per se. You see a lot more teams just going with the morning skate, taking the day in between to get whatever rest you can, because down the stretch, big guys play a lot of minutes. Guys play a lot of minutes. It's that playoff brand of hockey. It's a tough game. They're tight games, and you need everybody at their best. You want everybody fresh, or as fresh as possible, heading into playoffs and certainly down the stretch. But when things are so tight in the standings, every game matters right to the end. So, it's the schedule is a schedule, I guess. And if you got back-to-backs, we've had a lot of those, and we know how to prepare for them ahead of time and to be ready to go, whether, we're traveling after our home game for a back-to-back, but they're still huge games. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you, or the other team's not going to, take a step back or any of that thing. You got to find a way to have your best on that. Really the first and the second game of back-to-back. So it's, we got to just take it as it comes and go from there.
This past playoffs is the first time you'd gone deep, really since, very early in your career. When you got into this season, the first half, did you notice the difference of having a short summer? Was it noticeable for you early in the year?
I think, it is a little bit, all of a sudden the summer turns around quick and you're right back at it. So I think, we're like physically, we're kind of able to turn things around and prepare how you have to. I think mentally might be bigger than physically, the turnaround. You're through the end of the season, through the whole playoffs, if you go that deep, the mental strain is tough. Like you're dialed in for so long. It really just feels like rinse, repeat, and you got to be on and dialed in. And then you get the break, you get a short break through the summer, and you got to find a way to get back to that right at the start of this training camp, start of the season, that sort of thing. Because, we talk about how important points are now, but points at the start of the season are the same points that they are now. They're not giving out more now. So, it is difficult to to turn it around and get back into it. But I thought we've done a good job of, turning it when we needed to and build things up. And, we're going to need it right to the end of the season with a tight race.
And you guys are a very veteran group. A lot of the core guys are back who went all the way to the Cup last year. You talk about the mental side of it. Is there an advantage, do you feel, of knowing what that stress is, knowing what the excitement is at the same time, and how, not that you can, quote, just flip a switch, but there is something about experience. Do you feel that will be an advantage when the playoffs come?
I think so. There's a lot of teams that have been in the playoffs a lot, many times. But to go on a run all the way to the finals, that experience helps, and I think it hardens you mentally, and you can't get too high, you can't get too low. Like you get a win in the playoffs, you got to move on. You got to move on to the next game. I mean, if you lose, you got to move on to the next game, and you got to be able to you can't sit and dwell on that last game, whether it was a win or a loss. It's just reset, and you got to find a way to get those 4 wins each round, and it takes. You might get up 3 and you think, okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. No problem. But like the other team's playing for their life and everything's on the line. And it's often that's the hardest one to win. So kind of, that mental grind is there, and it's a big thing. And to be able to go through it, I think certainly helps you, in the future if you're going through it again.
And what about you personally? Last year when you came here, you were acquired. Your family didn't come. They did join you a bit in the playoffs, of course, but you've had that whole situation now. Your family's here. How much more comfortable do you feel, and is that a factor at all?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a factor. It's just like it's normal. Have a family around to go home, see my kids, see my wife. People coming in to visit, that sort of thing. I think that can help. Relieve a bit of the stress, if you will, or help on that mental side of things, because, there's things that are, I guess more important than the game, but not, they know what's on the line as well. And when you're all they go through the battle with you. But to be able to go home and kind of have that little bit of release, I think is a big thing for a lot of guys. And that kind of takes your mind away from the game for a little bit, even though there's not much time between, the playoff games, and it's that grind. But, you all go through the emotions together, the highs and the lows. And, anytime you can lean on family for a little bit of relief, I think is an important thing for a lot of guys.
Yeah, I think it's huge. And it is at times you have to, I believe, at least understand that the personal side of a player is going to impact them on the ice, positively or negatively sometimes. I don't really love they got a newborn kid. No. Like I'm telling you now, maybe now Connor can attest to it, being a new dad, that guess what? His job doesn't require him to be a physical specimen. So guess what? When young Benny was getting up in the middle of the night, he's getting his turn. NHL players, they don't do that. Right? And that's not a knock. That's just that's their job. And so they need more sleep. That's just how it works. Right. So I've talked to lots of players, having a newborn baby. Like today, I sat down and had a conversation with Stuart Skinner just about, hey, is there anything, beneficial? You're taking on Dallas, a team that you beat in the playoffs last year, and you played great in that series. And he's like, yeah, you know what? You get some confidence from that, but we're a different team. They're a different team. They're playing very well. They're above us in the standings, so we got to be better. But he just talked about how the thing he learned, like his first year in the playoffs, his mistake he felt was, that's not really, because if you've never been there before, you don't know. But in his words, he rode the roller coaster. When he won a game, he thought they were going to go on and win the cup. And when he lost, he was like, oh my God, we're going to, we're out. And so you got to try to find more of an even keel. And, and last year he felt like, if you have a bad period or it can't extend to multiple bad periods, you want to find a way to shut it down. And which is what he did when he came back in. But he allowed it to be a few games before he had to sit out. Then when he came back in, he was fine. He's actually more than fine. He was quite good. He had 11 of his final 15 games. Only allowed 2 goals or less in 11 of those games. And he won quite a few of them on his own. He was very good. And, he talked about, he's 2 boys now, Bo and Darcy, and his young son is 2 months old, and his oldest boy is 2 and a bit. And his oldest boy's talking now. And he says for him, it is just such a relief, you have a 2-year-old, anybody out there who has one, where they start to talk and they want to have a real conversation with you, and they just communicate about everything, and they tell you all their emotions and everything. And it's when you're in a real high stressful place, he says when he comes home, like his son knows, like his son loves goalie. He wants to play goalie all the time. And Stuart's laughing because he sees what dad does, but he doesn't understand the level that his dad's playing at, if that makes any sense, right? He's just like, well, dad plays hockey. Great. But for him, he says it's been like a blessing. He feels it's better for him mentally because he comes home and there's no stress of hockey. It's just like, young kids around. So I never really bought into that, guy has a bad, it's because he's a new. I never want to blame someone's family. I think it's a real cop-out, to be honest. Sometimes guys just don't play well. Point blank. 6 kids, no kids, girlfriend, wife, whatever. Sometimes you just don't play well. It's kind of how it goes. But I think Con's can attest to being a new dad. It is different, right? It's like anybody out there who isn't one doesn't really understand it until you become one. Fair to say, Cons?
Totally. You're totally kind of just ignorant to it. I was like, not necessarily a bad thing. You just don't know how much work it is. It's you're up all night. Baby needs to eat every couple hours. Baby needs to be changed. You don't really have any downtime. Even just staying at home with the kid, you might get a little bit of a break here and there with the naps, and of course you can take advantage of it. But it's tough to get out of bed in the morning sometimes. For me, I couldn't imagine getting up and then going to play hockey, getting a workout, and doing film. Like it would be a lot of work, and it certainly is. Like I can kind of also see what he's saying. Like you go home and it is an escape, right? You just go hang out with your kid. And my baby's not there yet, but I've been there with my nephews and nieces, and they just want to, chat. It takes you away from anything you're doing in the real world when you start talking to a kid about like a ladybug and how it has eyes and random things like that. So yeah, a good escape for Stuart Skinner. But yeah, I'm with you. I think for those guys, their families understand that they have to be locked in when they go to the rink, and I think they adapt and get help otherwise with the childcare.
317, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440. Tyler Yaremchuk will join us next. We got 5 questions in the business of sport with Rich Winter, and we're going to have a WHL commissioner, Dan. How do you become a commissioner? We'll find that out and more in the business of sports on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
The 2025 Ram 1500 Motor Trends Truck of the Year in St. Albert Dodge is knocking 10% off the price. That's right, 10% off every single Ram 1500 they have in stock, and over 100 are available. These are the 2025's new interior and drivetrain options with increased horsepower and better fuel economy. Other dealers save their best deals for last year's model. At St. Albert Dodge, they're taking 10% off the newest, hottest truck on the lot. That's how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
The Gear Center, Hydra Steer, and Pat's Driveline are celebrating 50 years of trusted service. From automotive to heavy trucks and equipment, our certified technicians handle all drivetrain repairs, including transmissions, transfer cases, clutches, differentials, steering units, and drive shafts. We also offer a massive selection of top-quality parts from the brands you trust, both online and in-store. The Gear Center Group, 50 years strong, supporting Canadians who get the job done. 8 Alberta locations and online at gearcentergroup.com.
Metal Supermarkets is locally owned, locally operated. They love this city and serving its people. In fact, they're as Edmontonian as dodging potholes in the spring. It requires a steady hand and extreme focus. Ironically, the same skills for cutting metal to your precise measurements. Now, can someone please give me a yee-haw? Thank you, sir. The local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Job Site Workwear has been Edmonton's home for Timberland Pro for 20 years. Support local and find the largest selection of Timberland Pro, including the brand new BOA System boots and the Winter Killers, the 1,000-gram Boondock and Pac Max, built tough to keep you warm all winter. Come get yours at one of our 3 Edmonton locations.
Job Site Workwear, tough different jobs.
Spring cleanup is a breeze with the Lawnmower Hospital at BCS Market Garden Equipment. Winter left a mess, and the Lawnmower Hospital brings you solutions. From BCS tillers and rotary plows to power harrows and 2-wheel garden tractors that go places a traditional tractor wouldn't dare. You'll find everything BCS at the Lawnmower Hospital, including attachments, accessories, hitches, wheels, and tires, plus more. See lawnmowerhosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. That's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.322, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a lovely Wednesday afternoon. It is game day. The Oilers at home tonight, taking on the Dallas Stars tonight. And if you want to go to the game, I think we, you know what we're going to do today? We did this once before and it was quite fun. Somebody ends up maybe with a good deal. Somebody just super generous. You can make one bid. High bid's going to get the tickets. Might be $100, might be $50, might be $500. You get one bid because we'll see your number, and then you get a pair of tickets for tonight. So I think one time somebody bid like $400, and then another time somebody got them for $100. So it all depends on the day. But you get one bid. Text in at 833-401-1440. Some sweet seats for tonight's tilt. Let's talk a little hockey. Let's get to the playoff push, brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month is on now at GMC. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. See more at gmccanada.ca. As Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff joins us. Ty, good afternoon, man. How you doing?
I'm good, Greg. Happy Wednesday to you.
Yeah, the Oilers, same to you. The Oilers get some good news. Draisaitl's back on the ice. He's not going to play today. He's not going to play tomorrow. I'm not even sure he's going to play Saturday, to be honest. But I think it's trending to next Tuesday against Vegas. Probably, I think is probably a very good for sure. He'll play by then. Maybe the Calgary game. We'll see. But, in the meantime, the Oilers, you got to kind of stay afloat here with the red-hot LA Kings. They need somebody. Nugent Hopkins did it last game. Who do you think can step up tonight for the Edmonton Oilers?
The Henrique Perry Hyman line didn't have a very good game against Seattle. When you look at some of the metrics, they got caved a little bit, outscored 2-0. And I know they made the switch of going with Kapanen up there instead of Perry, but Henrique's a guy I'm kind of looking at. We're still 13, 14 months removed from him being a top 6 player on the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm aware it's the Anaheim Ducks. They weren't close to the playoff picture. That's why they sold off a guy like Adam Henrique to come to Edmonton. But you look at the way Nugent Hopkins sort of took over that top line center role and has played really well. I'm looking at a guy like Adam Henrique. He's back to getting the minutes he was in Anaheim. We saw him obviously score the power play goal, which was great to see. Crazy that it's his first power play goal as an Oiler as well. But I'm looking to a guy like Adam Henrique to do a little bit more than he did against Seattle. If him and Hyman can prove to be a nice little duo, then maybe the Oilers can squeak out another win or two before McDavid or Draisaitl, I guess, comes back.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be Draisaitl first. McDavid, probably going to be a little bit longer for him. And, then Trent Frederic, which, the Edmonton Oilers right now, the way LA's playing and everything with injuries, it's looking like they might finish third and have to start on the road in LA, right? Now, could LA catch Vegas? I guess it's possible, but, unlikely the way they're playing. The Edmonton team, though, if you get Frederic and Kane, and even if Frederic only plays 3 or 4 regular season game, and obviously Kane, best case scenario, he takes a conditioning stint on April 10th and plays a few games in the American League. That's like best case scenario, I think. And then because he doesn't count against the cap and away you go. But how much different do you think, honestly, like if you look at the lineup tonight and then you say, okay, well, Kane, Frederic, McDavid, Draisaitl, like that's a third of your offensive forwards changing and some pretty significant players.
Yeah, absolutely. Like going through the exercise earlier in the week of looking at the lineup that they had against Seattle and being like, okay, you need to take out, hopefully, everyone gets healthy, there's no more injuries, but you could have to take out 4 of those players by night 1 of the playoffs. And you can kind of just look at that. What was the 4th line against Seattle, I think, with Kapanen, Derek Ryan, and Max Jones, and say, okay, those 3 are out. But who's the 4th? I mean, if you're going just based off production this year, you could look at a guy like Matthias Janmark, but I don't think you want to lose his penalty killing necessarily. You could look at, Skinner, because he was the guy who was getting healthy scratched a few weeks ago. But right now, the way he's rolling and the way he's scoring, you don't want to say Skinner. Corey Perry's getting demoted to the 4th line. Again, I wouldn't take Corey Perry out of this lineup. Like, it's a really, really hard decision. You're going to have a handful of good players, but one, I think, really quality piece sitting up in the press box on night 1 of the playoffs. And that, again, I think is an interesting wrinkle to this stretch without McDavid and Draisaitl. I think there should be a lot of guys, whether it's Janmark, whether it's Connor Brown, Jeff Skinner, maybe even a few others in the mix, Vasily Podkolzin as well, where you're going, this is kind of your audition here for a spot on that night 1 playoff roster. If you don't step up in the next 3-4 games when the team is still shorthanded, or in the games after even McDavid and Draisaitl get back and there's still no Frederic or Kane, if you don't step up in those moments, does Chris Knobloch have a reason to put you in the lineup game 1 against LA or Vegas? I don't think so. So there should be some guys who are feeling some pressure here in the next 2 weeks.
It's funny. Like you look at Kapanen, I think they realized, hey, we need a little bit more speed there. Like Corey Perry, God love him, in his regular season has been great, but I just like his foot speed is so not there at the playoffs at times. I don't think he's going to be a regular. I think him and Kapanen actually might be the guys, who go in and out. If Kane's not healthy, if Kane's healthy, then both of them might be out, for goodness sakes. And then, it's a good problem to have. But there'll be lots of guys moving out. Defensively, the top 5. They're going to play a lot. Troy Stetcher, this will be the 4th straight game. Emerson's a healthy scratch. I expect him to play tomorrow. So you got Stetcher, you got Emerson, and now John Klingberg's being cleared to play as well. Do you think we see a rotation based on who they're playing, or do you think one of those guys will be the regular number 6?
I think down the stretch, we'll see a little bit of a rotation here. Personally, for me, it would be between Stetcher and Emberson. I'm not sure if I have a ton of interest in a guy like John Klingberg, especially with the addition of Jake Wallman. I think Klingberg's maybe a little bit redundant in that sense. So I don't think Klingberg factors in for me all that much, unless it's to give some guys some rest days in the final week of the regular season. So I'd have a rotation of Emberson and Stetcher, and kind of similar to my answer about the forwards, I'd be looking at those 2 guys and saying, hey, you 2 are in a nice open competition here. Whoever plays the best in the final, or in their final 6-7 games each, or however many you can get them in for, that's who's going to be in the lineup night 1. I've been really impressed with Troy Stetcher as of late, and it came at a time when obviously there were injuries, so both him and Emberson can play, but it also came at a time when Emberson's play started to fall off a little bit. But I can also look back to some middle parts of the season where Stetcher was playing a decent amount, and then we saw his play fall off a little bit. So I'm not totally willing to, write in Sharpie that Troy Stetcher is going to be in the lineup night 1 of the playoffs over Ty Emberson, because I think those are 2 guys whose seasons have both come with, some, I'll call them pretty significant ebbs and flows. So you need at least seven defensemen to get through a playoff run. Most years you're going to need 8 to get through a playoff run. So it's good that the Oilers have this depth and a little friendly teammate competition between Emerson and Stetcher. I think, competition breeds results.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Stu Skinner tonight. We'll see Pickard tomorrow. Stu Skinner again back on against the Calgary Flames. Like people were asking earlier, hey, who can step up? Well, Darnell Nurse has 4 points in the 2 games Draisaitl hasn't played. So who knew that Darnell Nurse was going to be the offensive leader for the Oilers in the 2 games? But he's done it. Skinner, of course, has 3 goals. Nugent Hopkins has 3 goals. You'd like. I think Bouchard on the power play maybe can get something going, but I think Stu Skinner's probably going to have to steal you a game, right? He's going to have to channel the inner game 6 of Dallas potentially tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, I know there was a lot of talk about Stuart Skinner's down moments during the playoffs last season, a lot of talk about his tough stretches this season as well. But that playoff run last year, again, against Dallas, they probably don't move on if it's not for Stuart Skinner. If Skinner doesn't play as well as he does, and let's even call it Game 7 against Vancouver, who knows what ends up happening in that game. So, again, I always think back to last year and where we would have been at this point in the season. Connor Brown, would he have scored yet, or would he have been just on the cusp? But he would have been a game away from getting his first goal of the year. And at that point, what was the talk about Connor Brown? I was like, okay, well, this has been a bit of a disaster. The experiment didn't work. You let him go in the summer, but he played so well in the playoffs that he totally changed the narrative, and he was back for another season, right? Like, he earned another deal with how he played in the back half of the playoff run. He wasn't even in the lineup at the jump. So I think a lot of guys, whether it's Stuart Skinner or an Emberson, or go to the forward group and pick a name there like a Jeff Skinner, if guys play well in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs or at whatever point in the playoffs, we are going to very, very quickly forget what happened in these first 70 games of the regular season.
Yeah, for some of them, there's no question. It obviously helps when Connor Brown signed for $1 million. So
yeah.
Although he's, the bonus overages, he's still basically a $4 million player. But, there's another guy. That line, actually, Skinner, Janmark, and Brown was the Oilers' best line last game. They're fantastic, and they're going to have to step up because Dallas has 3 really good lines.
Yeah, and that trio played more as a full trio than any other line on the Oilers last game, which I found to be pretty interesting. The numbers were all good, and a lot of people looked at Jeff Skinner getting moved onto that line, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter, which I know you always have to take with a grain of salt, being like, I can't believe Knobloch's demoting him again. Skinner's, and I was like, no, I viewed that as a compliment. I looked at that as Chris Knobloch saying, okay, Jeff Skinner's one of the forwards who is going and producing. Let's move him down the lineup and spread things out. And I think, like you said, that approach is needed against a team like Dallas because, they have Wyatt Johnson and Jamie Benn on their third line, I believe, tonight. Like, how many teams can sit there and have a Wyatt Johnson and a Jamie Benn duo on their third line? And they're also only going to get deeper, assuming Tyler Seguin comes back at some point. So this Dallas team is going to be a handful tonight, and it can't just be, a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins hat trick or a third line that's buzzing. They are going to need more than, like I highlighted Adam Henrique as a guy who needs to step up. They're going to need more than just Adam Henrique stepping up tonight because it is a tall order to beat this Dallas team at the best of times, never mind wherever the Oilers sit right now with their injuries.
The quickly looking around, like Dylan Holloway, did you ever expect 60 points from Holloway? Like I said at the start of the year, Dylan Holloway could be a 40-point guy for me. I didn't think that was outrageous, but 60-point season, man, he's absolutely killing it.
Yeah, I maybe predicted 60 points if he was playing on Leon Draisaitl's wing this season. Thought maybe that was like a blue sky scenario for Oilers fans. When he left to St. Louis, I was like, man, how much power play time is he going to get? I looked at the way their forward group was going. It's like, hey, he's going to start on the third line there. I did not see 60 points coming from Dylan Holloway. On top of that, he's a wrecking ball, and it's hard, I think, to sit there and look at the success both him and Broberg are having. And, with a guy like Holloway, couldn't you have just figured something out and not squeezed him as hard in early July and gotten a deal done? It's all what ifs and it's hindsight because, in July, I was one of the people sitting here saying offer sheets never happen. You don't need to be all that concerned about it. And credit to St. Louis for going out. As much as people want to rip the Oilers for mishandling that, and if you want to argue about whether or not they mismanaged it, sure. But St. Louis also went down a path that very few teams go down, and Doug Armstrong's getting rewarded for being a savvy, aggressive GM and, taking the Oilers part out of this and looking at it from a league perspective. It is a very, very good thing for the league that this experiment is working out because it will lead to other GMs going, I want to try doing that as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's a copycat league. I do think it'll be a little bit harder because there's going to be, there's way more cap space available for teams this coming season and then the next few. So teams will do it, but I think it's going to be difficult for them to not do it without overpaying. You know what I mean? Where they're going to be like, oh, well, geez, we really need this guy. Okay. Cause like Dylan Holloway, it was $2 million. It wasn't like you paid him $5 million, right? Like Broberg at 4.6. Yeah. Okay. He's having a good year. It's Holloway at 2.3 that makes it such a great deal.
Yeah, totally. And again, with the cap jumping up the way it's supposed to continue jumping up the next number of seasons to get a deal like that, yeah, next time a team wants to not target the Oilers, but target, say, another contender, it might not be 2.5 and 4 point whatever. It might have to be like $4 million and $6 million. Then you get into a whole different realm of compensation and stuff. So that is a fair point as well. But again, just even from the side of the conversation, I think everyone's going to be looking at that stuff a little bit differently. And maybe there's even some teams who jump a little bit quicker to lock up their RFAs this summer.
Well, yeah, anybody that's the fact they didn't have arbitration, that's the other factor, right? Like it's there's a lot of pieces that have to fall into place, and it doesn't happen very often. I said it before they should have signed him, and then definitely should have matched it. I said at the time I would have matched it. It's $2.3 million. He's a young player, and you would have got a good deal for 2 point. Like next year he's going to be a bargain. An absolute bargain deal. And you need those. Every team around the league, you're going to need some. Evan Bouchard the last few seasons has been an absolute bargain at his contract, right? So you need those few contracts every now and then. And, we'll see the Edmonton Oilers. Are they going to be able to find a bargain contract? They'll probably have to try to find some this offseason because, that's when they're going to have to go bargain hunting, I would think, right? Is that they're going to have to. And the good news is, they've got a few key players that everybody wants to play with, so that helps them when they're in the bargain bin looking, because there's lots of guys with their hands up saying, "Pick me, pick me."
Yeah, totally. And another thing that, obviously we've talked about it, but I think maybe Oilers fans have gone a little numb to it. Like your starting goalie and your top pairing defenseman in Bouchard and Skinner have been making under $6 million combined, or close to it, right around there. And I'm not good at doing math, as you know, but that is like a crazy, crazy advantage to have. Even like an Ekholm-Bouchard pairing, which has been a legitimate top pairing for you, makes a combined under $10 million. That's a massive luxury they've enjoyed the last couple of seasons. That is not going to be the case moving forward.
No, it's very true. Although, Jake Wallman kind of steps in as a pretty good value deal for the Oilers next year, the way he has been playing, for sure. Lastly, Ty, him and Nurse played 3.5 minutes more than Bouchard. The Oilers had 5 power plays last game. Now, Ekholm, I know, isn't 100%, so maybe that's part of it. Or do you think that the coaches are saying, hey, right now, Nurse and Wallman 5-on-5 are our top pair?
And they might be. And I don't think, again, there's a massive problem with that. Like even just giving them, and I know Wallman had the experience of playing against top pairing competition in San Jose for the bulk of this season, and even going back to his time in Detroit when he was paired up with Sider. So it's not like it's a foreign thing to him, but giving him and Nurse some really, really tough minutes down the stretch, I think is a great idea, because when you go out on the road in the playoffs, it's not going to be as easy to line match and whatever. There might be nights where you really have to lean on those two, and you can't just roll out Ekholm and Bouchard for 24, 25 minutes a night. So yeah, I think it's a great thing right now to, again, get answers to some questions. As much as you want to have home ice advantage, and if you believe they can maybe still push for the top spot in the division, which I really don't, but if you believe that, sure, there's still meaning in these games, absolutely. But I think the biggest thing here in the final 10, 11 games for the Edmonton Oilers is get answers to questions. Can Jeff Skinner continue to be a solution in your top 9? Can Wallman and Nurse continue to be a pairing that can take on a very, very heavy workload? Like, if you don't find out about that stuff now, you're going to be left guessing in the playoffs, and that's the last thing you want.
Ty, thanks for this. Enjoy the game tonight. Have a good nap.
Yeah, sounds good. 8:20 puck drop.
Yeah, 8:22, buddy. 8:22.
Brutal.
So, well, you know what, though? Get ready for the playoffs. Remember, it's 8:52 for a lot of the playoff games. So,
yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, awesome. That's Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff. Who do you think can step up tonight for the Oilers? And, oh, by the way, we got some bids. We had some people. Gregor, where are the tickets? So the tickets are section 115, row 17. Oilers attack twice. Okay. I can tell you one guy who won't win because he bid $1. Okay. But we'll take bids until the top of the hour. High bid wins the tickets. Might be $100, might be $2, might be $50. You get one guess, and we'll keep your name, and then the top bid at 4:00 is going to get it. So 833-401-1440. If you want to go to the game tonight, 2 great seats. Donation goes to charity, help Gregor Foundation. We're just doing the random, just kind of the blind draw. See what you get. 833-401-1440.
People are always curious about what GS Construction does. They know it's something to do with construction because it's in our name. But our work at GS Construction isn't just about the projects we do. It's about people. Members. Sound like you? If you want to join a team that cares about the community, your community, visit gsconstruction.ca and apply today.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Do it, do it, do it.
Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, a car wash pros.
Do it, do it, do it at Hughes Car Wash.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by RV Wars. RV Wars is back. Multiple dealers battling for your business, clearing out the last remaining 2024's pre-tariff pricing. Don't miss out on an incredible deal. Visit rvwars.ca for details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$3.44. Hey, Gregor, what if 2 people have the same bid? First come, first serve. If there's a tie bid, it goes to the lead runner. So if somebody came in first at a number, then yes, that would go to the person who bid first. So you have till 4 o'clock. 833-401-1440. Some people might want to wait. Not that I'm going to tell you what it is. All I said was the guy who bid $1. I can tell you he's not winning. I probably could give a hint, but that would be unfair. So I'm not going to give a hint other than $1. $1 didn't get you enough. It didn't win. That's all I'll say. So we're doing it's the blind bid. You know exactly what you're getting. You just don't know what other people are willing to bid. So 833-401-1440 for a pair of seats to tonight's game. Oilers and the Stars. Great seats, by the way. Oilers attack twice. Row 17, section 115. Really good seats. So if you like a little blind bidding, it's the way to do it. So there you go. 3:45. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. We're saving you more. That's what they love to do. And you know what else they're like? They want you to sleep well. They even have the Brick mattress store specifically all for mattresses to ensure that you can get the best sleep, the best mattress for you. Stop in at the Brick mattress store.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, no Dry, no McDavid. How did the Oilers fare in this one tonight? And let's mix in a bold prediction as well.
Ooh, you know what? If the Oilers are going to win, I think it's got to be low scoring. I think I'm going to see a 3-2 overtime loss for the Oilers. Bold prediction, Matthias Janmark. First goal in 2 months, 19 games.
I like it. And you know what? If they lost in overtime, I wouldn't be upset about it. I'm going to go the other way. I say they lose in this one. It's going to be 4-2, and Jason Robertson finishes with 2 points. 2 goals. I feel like he's an Oilers killer. So Oilers lose 4-2. For the fans out there, I hope I'm wrong. Question number 2 for you. The Central, very, very top heavy. A good division. Once we get into the playoffs, how would you rank the top 3 teams in that division?
Go ahead.
I mean, I guess it would be kind of rude to go away from the Winnipeg Jets with what they've been able to do, but I just feel like the other 2 teams have players on that roster that are going to step up when needed. And, you know, if Heiskanen comes back and they're healthy, that's going to help the Dallas Stars. So I'll say Stars 1, Avs 2, Jets 3.
Ooh. Well,
I remember last year, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, if Miro Heiskanen's on my playoff team, then that's a different story. But without him, I'm going to go Jets because they also don't have to meet one of those other 2 teams in the first round.
So you're going Jets,
Avs
or Stars in 2?
I'll probably put the Avs too.
All right. Question number 3 for you today. The NFL Competition Committee releasing several potential rule changes for the upcoming season, including an expansion of instant replay. When you look at the NFL rules, is there any changes that you would like to see?
Oh, good question. Any rule changes? You know what? There's nothing that when I watch an NFL game, I'm like, oh, that's awful. Well, to me, get rid of the kickoff. Like, I guess. Why can't we have a surprise onside kick? I thought that was the dumbest rule change. Get rid of that. You tell me I can't just line up. The team doesn't know for sure if I'm going to do an onside kick. I don't like that rule at all.
That's a good one. I really like that one because that was a fun element of the game.
Yeah. Like what? Why are we? I know some people are like, well, just because you're trailing, why should it be easier to catch up? I'm like, do you know what the percentages are? What do you mean easier? Like, give me a break.
I would say one play I don't like personally is when it's like 3rd and 25 and there's a hold 5 yards downfield. It becomes an automatic first down. I would like to see them change that to, you know, the infraction is where it happened and you repeat the down. So you're not getting bailed out. Ticky-tack call 5 yards downfield.
Yes.
That 3rd and 25 is now first down.
Yes, that's a very good one. I agree.
Yeah, that one bugs me. So let them replay the down. I could hear the argument, well, yak yards, and I don't like it. So if you could change that one, I'd be happy. Question number 4 for you. The Rough Riders adding Trey Lance to their negotiation list. Whenever this happens, I always think, which NFL player would you like to see in the CFL?
I hate when teams do this. And all the media guys like, oh, yeah, they're on there. Like, Trey Lance is never coming to the CFL. Stop. It's not happening. It's just it kind of shows you that clearly it's a waste of they got too many players to protect. When they put Trey Lance on the list, that's what it's showing.
Just going for it. If you could add one NFL player to the CFL team, just for entertainment value, who would you add? You can give me one on offense, one on defense, whatever you're feeling.
I would take Tyreek Hill because he could do the waggle.
Oh, yeah. I would take Lamar Jackson with his speed in the wider field. I think he'd be like
Good
Michael
one.
Vick in Madden 04.
That'd be very good.
And then on the defensive side of things, like a guy like Micah Parsons. Oh man, I think he would he'd be like a Cameron Wake if he were to play in the CFL. Question 5 for you. It is allegedly Good Hair Day. If you could have anyone else's hair, celebrity, non-celebrity, whose would it be?
Whose hair?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I always thought Charlie Hunnam and Sons of Anarchy had great hair when he was Jax.
Oh, yeah.
He had kind of
long hair?
slicks back long hair.
Hmm.
I don't think I could pull it off. I kind of go in the fro direction. So you always want what you can't have. I thought the slicks back hair was always cool. So I would go for that type of look.
Ooh, it's a good question, man. Like, I'm so used to low maintenance. It's got to be someone like. There's no way I could have long hair. Like, I respect people that wear it. I couldn't do it. It's too much work. I got a comb, I don't have a brush. I don't even think I know how to brush hair. So I would probably want like who's got a good head of hair that's kind of like short, like who can rock a good faux hawk. I don't even know. So I'm just going right now. Who's got the best faux hawk? I can't even think of one off the top of my head. But that's what I'm going to go with. Kind of like that look.
What about like Brad Pitt in Fight Club or something?
Oh yeah,
That's a very good look.
Yeah, not bad. There's actually, I don't even know if it's I think the hairstyle is called the undercut, right? Little brush back and over, right? There's the hair clipper blades, the 1, 2, and the 3 in the back. And I'm just looking it up right now. And they've got this model guy wearing it. I'm like, that's a pretty good look. So I'm going to go with the undercut. I don't even care who has it because you got some pretty sick coif going with that. So there you go.
Those look pretty cool.
Yeah. Even the classic queef is attractive. Is that what it's called? The queef, better than, when Elvis kind of had it. So yeah, I think if I was going to do that, that would probably be pretty good. But it's been so long, man, since I had hair. Like it's never, honestly, I don't even miss it at one iota. Like to me, the pain now is when I have to shave my head every 3 days. Like I wish because, and I thought about it, but I talked to a guy who got his head, because they say, you wax it and then it's going to, grow back less. He said the pain of it, never. So I'm like, I can't do it because if there is a way, now I think you can laser it, but you got to do it multiple times and then it would never grow again. I'm at the stage in my life where that's what I would consider the laser. So I'd never have to shave my head again. That would be awesome.
But having a shaved head, it does require maintenance.
Yeah, but not much.
Not much, but
dude, honestly, I shave in the shower.
Mhm.
And that's it's super easy. Like I don't have to ever I don't get up in the morning. I'm not spending any time. I got no hair products, right? Other than shaving cream, I guess, but that's not much. And I got no hair products. I never have to do. Oh, geez, gotta comb my. Hey, just wait. I gotta comb my hair, right? Like wrestling around. You know what? The son's. We're wrestling. He can't be cheap. He can't pull my hair. So
a benefit.
Yeah, there's a few benefits there. Now, I can tell you whenever there's any sort of clogged drain, not looking at me, right? Not me. So there are some advantages.
Couple texts coming in for Strutty's hair, actually.
What? Why would I want power alleys?
Oh, not you, but these people. Hammer and I want to say it's Line or Lane.
Elaine?
Strutty's hair. They want it.
Yeah. Hey, Gregor, what about with the Trump topper? I actually have a few wigs at home that I wear at Halloween. And there is one wig that I quite like. Because I went as Vanilla Ice. And that wig is pretty sick. But the problem with wigs are I don't know. I know some people wear them all the time. Like after a few hours, man, I even have, because I have a shaved head, I have the skull cap that you put on, and the wig still after a while, it's just I feel so hot because I'm not obviously your heat escapes your head and your feet the most, right? So when you saw suddenly put a wig on, I'm telling you, man, after a while, I'm like, God, I'm sweating bullets in here. Can I wear a muscle shirt all of a sudden? I'm dying. So that's what I found is tough. There's a lot of people. Hey guys, what about Pat Riley? That's a Northside Lou. That's a pretty good one. His hair is pretty solid. Pretty solid.
He's just flicked back, right?
Yeah.
Classic all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. All the time. Never looks out of place. But I'm guessing that's a lot of work. Maintaining that thing. A lot of work. So let's see. Hey guys, if the Oilers don't win the cup, is it going to be because they didn't sign Holloway? That's who knows. Like I can't say that. Like that's impossible to say that one. If you had Holloway, like what if the Oilers get to the cup final and lose? I don't know, 6-1 in Game 7. Would it be because of a winger, or because of defense, or they just had a bad game? I don't know. So, yeah, the Holloway decision is the Broberg one to me is different because Kulak's playing great. Now they got Wallman, and you know what? You got all these guys, and they're fine. Like Wallman and Kulak make less than Broberg. But the Holloway one, and that's why we said it the day, I'm like, man, that's the one I would have matched. But they ended up taking Fisher, and they got an extra pick out of it. So they ended up with 3 picks in total in Fisher. That's what they got in the deal. And you know what? They got to hope Fisher works out. They're going to have to hit on some of those picks, man. Even then, it's like, we're talking how many years down the road before you're like, oh, this guy finally. But yeah, it's going to be pain for the near future. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be pain. It's just can't get around it. Can't get around it. Well, congratulations. It was close, Connor. We had lots of people in at like 213s and 227, 236. We had Roger at 250, but our winner today is Wes with his lucky 257. I don't know what the reference is. Is it a Heinz 57? I don't know. But lucky 57 for Wes. He's going to the game. Congratulations. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Road trips, job sites, daily commutes. No matter where you drive, you need a team that keeps you rolling. Fountain Tire does more than just tires. Their expert technicians handle everything from alignments to brakes, shocks, and full mechanical services. Find your nearest one at fountaintire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game day, the Oilers in action down at Rogers Place, hosting the Dallas Stars. Puck drop just after 8, closer to 8:22. Pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson gets going at 6 right here on Sports 1440. Elsewhere, Canucks in New York taking on the Islanders. Blackhawks host the Devils and the Bruins in Anaheim. In the Association, Raptors are in Brooklyn to take on the Nets. Tip-off at 5:30. Also got the Pacers hosting the Lakers. Clippers in New York to take on the Knicks. Nuggets host the Bucks. And the Celtics in the desert taking on the Suns. PWHL trying to win Boston, taking on the Fleet. That'll get going just after 5 o'clock. And playoffs rolling on in the AJ. The Kodiaks host Calgary. Canucks lead that series 2-1. Fort Mac up against Whitecourt, trailing 2-1. Canmore and Drumheller, Mealy and Drumheller. Dragons lead 2-1 in the Storm, trying to complete the sweep over the Bobcats in Lloyd. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, it's another edition of the Business of Sport with Rich Winter and WHL Commissioner Dan Lear. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit FountainTire.com today.
Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood. Oodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 noodle, nood. Oodle, noodle, nood. Oodle, nood. Oodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood. Oodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 noodle, nood. Oodle, noodle, nood.
Throw a load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
RV Wars hits the north side March 27th to 30th at the Old Lowe's building. Go RV, Vision RV, and Arcan RV have joined forces for RV Wars. Take advantage of pre-tariff pricing on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. The last of the 2024 models are being cleared out. Make no payments for 6 months OAC. Now is the time to buy with special discounted finance rates, free admission with a donation to the food bank. RV Wars this weekend on the north side, 9603 165 Avenue. Visit rvwars.ca.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions and projects, service tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back on a lovely Wednesday afternoon. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50 and get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. I'm Jason Gregor, the business of sports. Every Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we're joined by longtime NHL agent Rich Winter. Rich, how you doing?
Jason, how's things going with you?
Hey, man, things are great. Things are fantastic. So it's
all
good.
Suited up for the big wedding. That's good to see that you're just because I'm here.
Yeah, no, just dressing up for you, Rich. Yeah,
right, nice.
yeah. That or game day. I'm not sure.
I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, you didn't get the memo. No, that's normally you're dressed pretty well. So
thanks.
Yeah, you don't. Do you own a T-shirt?
Yeah, I believe I do. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't wear them very often, though. You're more of a sweater, collared shirt guy, aren't you?
I would say yeah. But weekends, weekends.
Weekends. Okay.
Yeah.
Grandkids. All right. Okay. You got the Pablum shirts for the weekends. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Exactly.
Nice. Now, we got a very special guest today. Join us right off the hop here in the business of sports as we get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment Group, unique group that, of course, owns the Seattle Thunderbirds, the Saints, the HSL, also Silent Rides Charter Company, the Female Super League, and more at Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment. And we are joined by a gentleman who is just into now the second year as the commissioner of the Western Hockey League. Dan Neer joins us. Dan, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, Jason. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well, thanks.
Hey, I appreciate it. I want to talk about a few different things. First of all, before we get to the WHL and all the expansion and everything like that, which is great, I want to get to kind of, your past going from Adidas to then coming to the WHL. and you had an NHL experience prior to that, but, what was it at the time that you wanted to put your name in the ring that made you want to go from Adidas to the WHL?
Well, I didn't want to be a T-shirt guy anymore like Rich. So I wanted to take a step up and throw the shirt and tie on every day. But,
you're not doing that. I've got people in the office.
We made a decision at Adidas we weren't going to continue with the NHL partnership. And so I was, caught between a rock and a hard place. I had invested a great deal of my career into kind of the business side of hockey. And I was left being a t-shirt guy and a shoes guy. And that would have been all right. My kids are in middle school. It was kind of do I stay in Portland? Do I ride it out for a little while? Or do I chase the hockey dream? Ron Robinson, been here 24 years. He had indicated he was ready to pack it in, and a little bit of right time at the right place. And I've always wanted to be a CEO, and to do so in a hockey space is fantastic. And I love it. It's been a great year, learning a few things here and there. We've got a great group of owners. We've got great communities, and I'm just thrilled to be here, guys.
So, Dan, from your time in the NHL and then working with the NHL, I'm sure you were like, hey, you know what? I think I have a decent understanding of the game of hockey, but you're the commissioner now. So in year number 1, what was the biggest learning curve for Dan Neer as commissioner of the WHL?
I think the idea that the commissioner reports to the owners, right? And there's 22 of them. They're all different. They all have different interests, backgrounds, geographies. And it's literally impossible to make everybody happy all the time. And so you might feel really good. You come home from work and I've accomplished this, I've accomplished that. Well, you still might have 6 people that are disappointed with the way things shook out. And it's a never-ending set of compromises and negotiations. But I'm starting to figure that out. And I am pleased to say that even the guys and those who don't get their way are generally really, really supportive. And, we've got the playoffs coming up. We had tremendous attendances leading into it, sellouts, and people are generally in pretty good spirits, despite the fact that there are peaks and valleys, and one offside call or one suspension can get you in somebody's bad books. But all in all, things are pretty darn good.
Dan, did you have any conversation at all, or since you got the job with Gary Bettman? Because as much as I disagree with Gary on a whole bunch of things, he's done an incredible job of managing 32 billionaires. It's almost it's incredible. So is that some conversation you might have had with him at some point? Because if he's good at anything, he's extremely good at that.
Gary's a wise man, and he's been very kind and generous with his time and with his advice. And I actually, in Edmonton at the Stanley Cup Final, spent a period with them and with Gary and Bill and the Players Association, and we were chatting. And one of the things he told me is that, you're going to have a group of owners that are challenging all the time, that are hard on you. It'd be very easy to not spend time there. He said, spend the most time with the guys who are toughest to deal with, who challenge you the most. And so I've tried to heed that advice where possible, but Gary's been fantastic.
No, he's really personable. I often visit the NHL office. I play a bit of a game with my clients. I'm older than them, so we try and find something interesting to do before we head for dinner. And quite often I'll take him over to see the production facility. And it takes Gary about 10, 15 minutes to find out that a player and an agent are in the building. And I've spent a lot of time with Gary over the years. I really like him. I think he's a much different guy than people see getting booed vociferously at the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's really he's a very bright guy. He's accomplished a lot. I think there's a lot of things they could have done, make the league better, but he's done a great job and a really good guy to be around.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I had my first experience of maybe getting booed that I was worried about going into medicine after a 3-game suspension to Gavin McKenna, and they were kind on me. And so I haven't yet earned vociferous boos anywhere yet, but I'm sure it'll come.
Yeah, if you do, you're doing a great job.
Yeah. Dan, you mentioned Gavin McKenna, a young superstar in your game. And when you have, as a commissioner, I don't know if you'd ever had to deal with kind of player safety and discipline like that. Going through that process, I know it's not just one person, but it's a group of people. Can you kind of walk us through, the player discipline and how much goes into it and how much, precedent matters when it comes to some of these?
Yeah, absolutely. And I try to create a distance between myself and the decision making on that for a variety of reasons. One, because I don't watch every game soup to nuts. I haven't been working in this league a tremendous period of time. And I think that consistency is probably the word. If I was to just give you one adjective we try and employ as we contemplate this, is how do similar infractions get treated similarly, and what are all the factors and variables that you take into account? I think one of the things that we have a lot of discussions about is whether the degree that a player is injured, if that's the case, play into the duration of the suspension, or is it actually just the act? And those are the types of things that we have pretty lively conversations on. I do stay in tune with each of the things that we review. I'll sometimes weigh in with what I think, but more often than not, unless it's something that's pretty severe, it gets dealt with our player safety group on a day-to-day basis.
The commissioner of the WHL, Dan Neer, joins us in the business of sports. And so, Dan, we've had lots of different guests on the show because, in the world of sports and in hockey, sure, everybody wants to be a player, but, that's a pretty select group of people that can do that. And so I always kind of like to ask, when we look at your career path, you said you always wanted to be a CEO of a company or a league in this instance. So, what did you do? What were the steps that you felt were needed to take? So if somebody out there is listening, they're 25 and what? I want to be Dan Neer in 20 years. How do you get there?
Yeah, I took a gamble when I was studying at Western. I had dreams of going to the Ivy Business School, and I had an opportunity to do an internship. And so I had to make some changes to the kind of originally planned programming. I did an internship. I went to New York City right after 9/11, and I worked at NBC Sports. I spent 8 months there learning the ins and outs of what it meant to work in a real business environment, and I really grabbed the passion for sport, but just as importantly, built some real relationships who could help me get where I wanted to go down the road, and that was invaluable. The second thing was studying finance. The reason I initially did it was my dad's a financial planner, and I thought someday I'd take over his business. Well, understanding the business side of any decision, no matter what side of the company you work on, you don't have to be in finance for finance to be valuable, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in branding, whether you're in PR, whether you're in operations. Understanding how the business works and how to cut a deal, how to negotiate what a contract looks like, that got me started. I took a gamble coming out of grad school. I did an MBA at Miami of Ohio, and I had a chance to leave there and work on Herbal Essences shampoo with Procter & Gamble. And that was for a classical brand marketer. That's the dream job, an assistant manager at P&G. And I said, shampoo, hockey. I did hockey, right? And so I took a little bit of a gamble there. And then, I've really only had two big career moves. I did 10 years at the NHL. I was at a point in time where working in New York City wasn't great for the family. I had 5-year-old and 2 4-year-olds. I felt like I wanted to accelerate my career doing something new. Adidas was an opportunity to stay real close to the action on the NHL side. I became the GM of hockey at Adidas, 8 years there. And like I told you before, right place at the right time to join the Western Hockey League to get back to Canada. And here I am. So, networking, get a good foundation in your education. When you have an opportunity to drive an internship and do something like that, do everything you can to take advantage of it, make an impression, and build relationships where the people you work with try and help you down the road.
Dan, it's so important because what you said, I left Drumheller where I grew up and went to Los Angeles and interned for a guy named Ted Steinberg, whose clients at that time included Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a number of others. His partner represented that year in the draft, Danny Marino and John Elway. And same thing is you got to take a chance when you're young, because ultimately that's when you have the time to take chances and make mistakes. And I think a lot of kids, they're so insular or provincial in their thinking. They don't think about, applying to into New York City if you're from Canada. But there are lots of opportunities. And I actually was an attraction to Ted because at the same time as he was working with NBA players, he was representing a lot of the SCTV players. So not a kid from Canada taking a law degree, but an interesting change. And you obviously made that same decision. But I think kids out there have to realize, get out of the house, take a chance early, because that early change in direction and, like you say, open you up to all of the experiences you had was really transformative for me, and it sounds like it was for you. So I think what you said is right. Take a chance, look at that internship, find a starting point in something that interests you.
No doubt.
And when you look at that, Dan, and the taking of the chance one, but it also seems like in the back you always had somewhat of a plan. Like sports was your passion, right? You wanted to stay. Now, was it always hockey? Like when you went to Adidas, you went there because you got to run the hockey side of it, right? Like if basketball or baseball or football had come up, for instance, could you have transitioned into that easily, or is it a lot harder than maybe we think from the outside?
Well, it's interesting. I always really wanted to be good at business and always said that it didn't really matter what sport, or even what discipline. If it was something I could get behind and be passionate about, that's where it would take me. I think the fact of the matter is I went from being, middle management where I don't want to say I was a nobody, but there were a lot of guys like me. And when I got to Adidas, part of the strategy there was to diversify, because I thought maybe if I'm typecast as a hockey guy, it will limit my opportunities. And so I did work on other businesses. I was the GM of lacrosse. I worked on volleyball, tennis, swim, cycling, climbing, and mountain biking, all at different points of my time at Adidas. Okay. But all roads kind of led back to hockey, because that's where I had the most relationships, the most street cred, was most authentic. And so I got by doing those other things, but everyone knew that I had never worn a Speedo and dove into the pool and swam laps or whatever, right? You go into REI or Mountain Equipment Co-op and try and convince them they need to buy your bathing suits. It's just different when you've grown up in hockey and you're respected in hockey. And that's kind of what led me back there, guys.
Yeah, like you tell me about the Creation Center that's on your resume. What did you do there? Because we know the NHL, in my view, is probably the least innovative place on the planet. What did you do? What did you do there? And how shocking was it to come from Creation, decentral to Creation Central in Portland, where I'm sure there's doing some pretty interesting things.
Yeah, so Creation Center really is product, building products. So the crew neck hoodie I'm wearing, right, or the crew neck sweatshirt I'm wearing, or the blazer that Jason's wearing, or the T-shirt that Rich wants to be wearing. We were always creating hockey jerseys. So my whole time there, I was working on that. But toward the end, we established something called Creation Center Portland. And Adidas had gotten into a little bit of a rut where it was trying to create the exact same products that could be sold all over the globe. And it was a good strategy, and it was built by consultants. And the reason it was a good strategy is, well, the economy is a scale. You make less number of SKUs and higher volumes of each of those SKUs. Your cost to create the product goes down per crew neck sweatshirt. What they really missed on that is the diversity of the populations around the world. And whether a European customer versus an Asian customer versus an American customer versus a Canadian customer, whether they're fit and their body types are the same, whether the style and trend were the same, whether even color trends were the same. And so we established Creation Center Portland, and we were a group that was building apparel and footwear specifically for the North American customer, built on North American trends, on shorter timelines, trying to be responsive to what US and Canadian customers were looking for from Adidas.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's fantastic. Dan Neer joins us. So now, Dan, I want to focus on the task at hand with you as the commissioner of the Western Hockey League, and a huge announcement that you're expanding to Penticton this coming season. And then the following year, Chilliwack's going to come in. You're going to have 24 teams. Take me through now. Is that something completely new to you when you're going through the whole process? My understanding was that you just needed a majority, but it's pretty overwhelming majority voted for this. I think 18 out of the 22 teams, if my source is correct. So that's a lot of teams who really wanted this. So does that make it easier, Dan, or what goes through the lines to finally agree to expand?
Well, I would say there's a lot that goes into it, and there's actually been multiple votes. The most recent one was unanimous across the 60 CHL teams around finalizing this. But really what we're considering is what's best for the league, and how do we establish ourselves for not what the league is today or what we think it ought to be today, but where we'll be in the future. And I think we've looked at all the changes in the junior hockey landscape, and we think there's opportunity. We think that with the change in the NCAA regulations, we're in a situation where every player in Western Canada and the US want to play in the Western Hockey League, whether that's their path to the NHL, whether it's their path to European Pro, to NCAA, to U Sport, or anything in between. I'm not sure why any player out of the West, if they are given the opportunity, wouldn't choose the Western Hockey League. Now, will that be for 5 years? Will it be for 4 years? How long will it be? I think we're going to learn and see some of that. But we've had tremendous interest from population of players that haven't historically considered us, or if they had, they had chosen to protect their NCAA eligibility. And so we think there's an increase in the population of players who are interested in playing Major Junior. We think there's a chance to further differentiate ourselves as the very best development league in the West, if not in the world. And so the idea of looking at a couple of communities that have rich hockey history, tremendous tradition, in Penticton's case, an existing franchise and leadership and ownership team, it made a lot of sense to our owners, and it wasn't an automatic. We spoke a lot about this. We contemplated pros and cons and risks, and I think that we've historically been a risk averse. What if this? What if that? Kind of league. And maybe part of the new leadership is saying, hey, let's be a little bit more aggressive with our decision making, with the strategies that we're going to take, and hope it leads us to opportunity. And so we had tremendous response from the expansion announcements this week, and a fantastic event in Penticton. We're excited to welcome the V's this fall.
Now, Dan, you mentioned that all of the major junior teams, so even the O and the Q, have to agree to WHL expansion.
So we have a lot of things that we do in partnership, whether it's the import draft, whether it's our partnership with Hockey Canada. We run the major events, the Memorial Cup, the US Canada Prospects. And so we have the CHL is one league with 3 members. And so the CHL, there was a vote at the CHL level as it relates to onboarding, moving from 60 to 61 to 62.
Okay. Now you mentioned the European sources are telling me that the Chancellor is going to vote on expanding that to 3 as well. Is that are you confident that could happen as early as next year?
I'm not prepared to comment on that, and some of that is related to it's an idea. It's been raised. At what speed it could happen, and it is yet to be determined.
Okay. So you bring in Penticton, then you bring in Chilliwack, and in all your research and studies, because Chilliwack had a team for a bit and then they left, and what's going to be different? How will it be more successful this time around?
Well, I think that one of the misconceptions is that it wasn't successful last time. There were circumstances around the league that prompted us to move to an opportunity in Victoria at that time, but that team was drawing over 4,000 fans on average in the tenure that they were there, and which, our average attendance is around 4,000. It's a market that is over 100,000 people. We operate successfully in markets of 30 to 40,000 in a number of cases. It's a growing community that's become a suburb of Vancouver. People are working remotely. They've got a great downtown core that's being rejuvenated. It fits into our travel schedule. I don't know that anything will be vastly different, but I'm tremendously confident that Chilliwack will be a great city for us.
The expansion draft rules. How when we talk business of sport, how much negotiation goes on in that, Dad? Because you're existing, hey, we'd like a new team, but hey, wait a sec, I don't want to give up too many of my guys. And we saw even at the NHL level that the Vegas expansion draft rules were infinitely different than when Columbus and Minnesota had come in 18 years earlier. So how much negotiation, how much did you have to do when it comes, did you take Gary's advice there to be, hey, the teams that give you the most trouble, those are the ones you have to talk to? Was it really hard to come up with a final solution on what was going to be the expansion draft rules?
It's funny. We're accountable to the member clubs, but at the end of the day, the member clubs, they would like there to be an expansion team for all the benefits that go along with that, but they would like to give up no players and make no sacrifices either. And so, we've relied on a variety of sources. including our past expansion precedent, including observing what's happened at the NHL level, consulting with people in the industry who are savvy, contemplating what we think that the NCAA implications and changes might result in. And there was extensive negotiation. We have a competitions committee made up of general managers and with representation from each of the divisions. And literally every GM in the league had a chance to weigh in on this. Inevitably, no one is totally happy, which is perfect. If nobody's happy, then we might have done something right. But we've settled on regulations, and while we haven't necessarily published anything yet, we'll be in a position to do so soon.
Well, Dan, congratulations on year one, and hopefully year two is a success. The playoff race is done. Now we got the playoffs starting this weekend. Should be a fantastic season, and hopefully a WHL team can win the Memorial Cup at the end of it. That would be fantastic. So,
I'm pretty sure I saw on Twitter that you said we're never going to win again.
I don't think I ever said the WHL would never win again. I just said that it's challenging. The WHL hasn't won in a long time, which is true. But I never said they wouldn't win again. But I never said they didn't win again at all. I actually wrote that I personally don't love the expansion rules. But then I had a few people reach out and they said, "Hey, we're gonna be getting the European expansion for another player." Where I'm like, okay, well, that's basically one extra team when you think about it, spread across the league of players. And I do the NCAA is the one thing that's the real wild card here. You mentioned it. We don't know yet, right? How different teams are going to look and whether players come for 1 or 2 years, or maybe NCAA says, you know what? We now don't want guys until they're 19 or 20, right? And that might be better for them. So it's going to be a Wild West. And are you concerned? That's my last one. Are you concerned at all about the uncertainty that's coming? Because no one really knows what's going to happen here the next year.
Totally. And I didn't mean to be confrontational or to mischaracterize your tweet. But you brought up the Memorial Cup, and so I wanted to address it. Look, uncertainty is a very uncomfortable thing. I think that one of the things that expansion helps us do is, it helps solidify the investment that's going to be required to keep our standing as the top development league. And that means investing in facilities. It means investing in nutrition, investing in mental health, investing in off-season training, giving the players a reason to stay and to put them in the best position to advance their hockey career. And guess what? If they complete their eligibility in the WHL and go on to do another 4 or 5 years in university or college, if the pro option isn't available to them, fantastic. But we really think that we're in good stead, that these decisions are going to move us in the right direction. And guess what? If some of the uncertainty proves that we've either made a wrong assumption or the circumstances change, we're going to adapt to. We're going to be nimble and we're going to be prepared to do so. So I appreciate you giving me a chance to chat about that with you.
You betcha. Awesome, Dan. It was great having you on, man. Good luck. We'll probably see you around the WHL rinks all playoffs.
And next time I come to Calgary, I'll give your office a call. We'll drop you off one of our T-shirts.
Awesome.
There you go. That is Dan Neer, the commissioner of the Western Hockey League. Now, I know, and because I've had people say, hey, the Memorial Cup's nice and it would be great if the Western Hockey League won, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't change the league's success. Value, that's a fair point. But at the end of the day, the goal is to win a Memorial Cup. Right? The goal isn't, you want to win the WHL, but there's still a Memorial Cup. It's super hard to do. But, it's not only that they haven't won in a while, they haven't had a lot of real competition since the Oil Kings won it. So you'd like to get back to it. I think it's possible. Now, I did have some WHL owners tell me that the one difference is in the OHL, now they have some trade rules that are different, right? Like you can trade draft picks for till whenever, right? So there's that. And also it seems that teams in the OHL have been more willing to push all their chips in one year and really load up and then be like barren desert for a few years. And some WHL teams, and I don't disagree with that, right? Like, because only one can win. Mm-hmm. And like, even if you look at this year, Calgary, Medicine Hat, and Lethbridge all made some significant additions.
Yeah.
Only one of them is going to even just come out of their side. Never mind even get to the Western League Final.
See, for me, I could care less. Because ultimately, I think the measure is how many athletes did they develop to play at the elite level. So to me, and I think Dan touched on this in terms of investing in development and nutrition and mental health, I'd rather see 37 more kids in the National Hockey League who are committed teammates with, good, solid mental health backgrounds. I like to see them come out, clean up some of the garbage that we know goes around the league. To me, the winning is secondary. Coach Wooden won more than anybody else on the planet in basketball for over a couple of decades. He never talked about winning once. He worked very hard just to make his players better men, better prepared. And I think we're missing that in spades in hockey. And that's something I'd love to talk to Dan at some point, because there's a lot of work to do there.
All right. Quick break. We'll return more in the business of sports on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
The place for all the sports action you can handle. The Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton. With big screens everywhere you turn. There's never a bad seat in the house. Plus food and drink features with something for everyone. Small bites to big bites. It's a top shelf menu of all your favorites. So bring your friends and catch the Oilers watch parties throughout March. Plus tons of other sports, so you're always entertained. Every day is game day at Century Sports Bar and Lounge.
Truck Month is on at Chevrolet. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on a 2025 Silverado 1500 Custom Blackout or Custom Trail Boss. With Custom Trail Boss's available class-exclusive Duramax 3-liter diesel engine and Z71 off-road package with a 2-inch factory suspension lift, you get both on-road confidence and off-road capability. Dirt road ahead. Let's go! Truck Month is awesome. Ask your Chevrolet dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
Hat-tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.433, welcome back. The Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having a lovely day. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Rich Winter with you in the business of sports. And, Rich, when you look at, and, we had the commissioner on, Dan Neer, and I think going through the negotiations for expansion, and then, because negotiations, like, what's the price that everybody's agree on? Because, not everybody's going to be like, oh, okay, I think this is a fair price, right? Usually there's always somebody who wants more than what it is. And, I'm hearing it's a pretty significant amount. But, like, what do you, like, overall, because you have players who are in the NHL, you have players who are in major junior hockey. Yeah. What do you think is the biggest challenge or hurdle that major junior hockey needs to address?
Oh, I think Dan touched on it. I think it's mental health. And I think more than anything, there's so much these kids are exposed to off the ice that is, can be really devastating long term. I think it's preparing them for something after hockey, because in very different than the NHL, most of the guys, or many of the guys, but not all of the guys, leave the game set for life. And these kids have tried since the age of 4 to be a hockey player. They get to the Western Hockey League, they hang in there till they're 20, they have no options, and they're really lost when they leave. I think that's important, but I do think it's getting more tech savvy. We've talked about that on other shows. I think the game could be produced at a better level. I think their television product could be enhanced. I think one of the things they're going to have to look at is some of the things we've talked about in using artificial intelligence to generate different revenue streams, because ultimately the Western Hockey Leagues, I mean, these colleges in the US, they're ramping up with tens and tens of millions of dollars in name, image, and likeness rights that they're monies that they're going to be given to players. And if they don't recognize that they need to figure out how to create another pool, they just won't get the good players. I mean, you get a 18-year-old kid who's looking at Michigan State giving him $1 million to play for them. That $450 a month isn't going to look very attractive. I don't think they fully understand the magnitude of what's coming from the competition. And these guys have alumni all over the world throwing all kinds of money into nil rights because they want Michigan to win.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting on the nil, because we haven't. Now, what about, I've heard that for now, if you're a Canadian, to try to get the nil, it's not just that straightforward. Like if you're Gavin McKenna right away anyway, you can't get the same opportunities as some of the American-born players for nil.
That's going to change, and I think it's going to change when the money starts flowing. And these the nil right thing's just a scam, right? It's just a way of allowing alumni to give money that they previously were prevented from doing. Because at the end of the day, nobody in the States, especially in hockey, but in almost all the other sports, they're making no money. They're making this advance as a signing bonus of sorts. They're never getting it back. Never getting it back. So it's just something that the Western Hockey League is going to have to deal with. They're going to have to figure out, ways to deal with that. And there's a lot of
challenge. You're like, I don't know how, because that's a massive increase. If all of a sudden a player can go to me and just get 50 grand, let's say, right? Just get $50,000, and because right now it's not necessarily allowed, right? Like I don't know if you just want the Wild West and any team can pay whatever you want. I know there's always been rumblings about this team pays under the table and that team pays under the table. I'm sure some of the stories
they do.
are true.
They do. Yeah,
they do. Right. So, but to never to that level, I guess.
No,
right.
Well, I can tell you without naming the league, I had a player 17 years of age make $250,000 one year
in major junior.
Mm-hmm. And he wasn't the highest paid player in that group. So that's cleaned up quite a bit since now. But
like how long ago are we talking?
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
Good for us.
Yeah. So how now something like that, like how, because you have to file for taxes for it. Do you not? Like it can't just be that under the table, would it?
Hey, dad's salary was what?
Oh, okay.
Oh, and he was doing what for that money? Oh, scouting. I didn't see him out there. Oh, well, I mean, probably was.
Oh, okay.
They've really clamped down on that of late, and I haven't represented many junior players, none really, for the last 10 years. So I have no idea what the Wild West, East, or Central is, but it's been done. But the Moose Jaws and the Prince George, like there's no way they can.
Yeah, the public, those teams aren't going to be out there, offering huge amount of money.
And it's going to allow families things to do. Like I really find it, quite frankly, I don't like the fact that these young men are drawn away from their families at the young age that they are. I think really your kids should be home. They should be together, should be as a family. I know it's not popular to say that, but I, quite frankly, from a father's perspective, I'd like my son to be at home playing for the St. Albert Saints, or really 16, 17. And then when he's ready to leave home, he's had a lot of time to, for us to teach him the rules and the values and help him mature to the level when he goes to Michigan or he goes somewhere else, he's ready. But that's a challenge, because ultimately parents are going to realize, they're going to be able to say to their son at 16, if you just hang in there for another, look what Michigan's offering, look what Western Michigan's offering, look at, it's going to create some really interesting and different dynamics. I had a young man just ask me for advice the last couple of years. He's lives in a WHL team city, and he was drafted by the team in his city. So his decision was pretty easy. He could live at home anyway, but Yeah, it's a tough decision for a mom to let go of a 15-year-old boy and have him play 300, 400, 500 miles away from home, given all the rumors, which are mostly true, as to what happens around those teams.
Yeah, it's not ideal for sure. And I don't know how you would fix that per se. You know, are you going to have territorial rights for kids? You know,
Yeah.
I guess that would be a solution. Now, some territories obviously produce more kids than others, so then there's that factor involved. So yeah, I do know, like, and I've talked to teams, it's becoming more of a challenge sometimes that, you know what, you have a high pick and you got the first pick overall, or even the second or the third, or I know it goes down to 6th or 7th sometimes, because they'll be like, well, I don't really know that much of a difference between the number 6 and the number 7. And you call them and say, like, will you come here? And if not, the team passes and goes to the kid who will come.
Yeah. And sometimes the kid won't come there, but he will go to a larger center because
or one closer to home, right? Like if
Closer to home,
you're a Manitoba kid, you don't necessarily want to get drafted to the BC.
No, and it's a challenge for them, and it's going to be, well, when there's more and more options, it's going to be more and more challenging.
Right. Yeah. So I think as the commissioner of a league like that, it's ongoing. There's lots of great things about it, but there's, you know, as Dan said, if everybody's happy, you're probably not doing something right. So
Well, you got to look at the demographics of the parents and start thinking about, well, are we attractive to the parents with 2 PhDs? Are they going to be concerned about education? I'm not sure we do a great job on that. Hard when they're on the road. And then how do you appeal to the farmer from Saskatchewan whose mom doesn't want, doesn't want his son leaving home at 16? I think they've got to really think through this, and the nil rights thing is going to be huge because we all know money does a lot of the talking.
yeah, I will say the WHL education program has proved immensely in the last decade. Like, teams have traveling tutors, and it's,
It's much better. Yeah.
It's infinitely better that way. So I think they've taken it more serious, which is great. And I think you have some parents who have kind of learned to negotiate a little bit better to get that guarantee. Hey, you play one game this year. Well, that's a full year of scholarship money. And so it's definitely like the WHL has improved their scholarships, no question, to compete, because that was another way. Because I think a lot of times, like, I think the one thing that gets overlooked amongst all this talk about, all these Canadians are just going to flock to NCAA. And I think they're in for a bit rude awakening, because first of all, when we say scholarship, not everything is 100% covered.
Yeah.
I know people who get offered scholarships, but they still end up paying 25, 30 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on a scholarship. Well, okay, you're on a scholarship that pays a percentage. It's not paying everything.
Not
right.
for everybody, yeah.
So when you go to the States, there's still lots of money out of pocket. Number two, lots of the education that you take there isn't transferable perfectly across the board if you're in education or if you're a lawyer or whatever it is. So then you have to take more when you come back.
Not as challenging as you think, but it's interesting the other way, because we have a young man who's going from Prince Edward Island University to Niagara University, and he's going to have to upgrade some classes for that reason, even though he's been 3 years at university. So
exactly.
So there are challenges, but look, I went to school in Canada, went to school in the United States, and I did everything I did wrong, regardless. So on both sides of the border, I don't think that's a big challenge. I just think that there's so much money in those American schools, so much money, that if they want a player, it's going to be pretty tough.
Well, I would agree. Now, they can't get the 16 and 17-year-olds, right? And so that's going to be the discussion I'm sure the WHL is going to have is our league better if it's younger? And historically, the answer would be no.
No.
Right? Because, there's the odd exception, but, the best 16-year-old isn't going to, most of the 19-year-olds are going to be better. Some of them are already drafted. Now they're 1 or 2 years plus their draft. So, and if you want to leave now, guys who have NHL aspirations. And the other thing is right now, if you sign an NHL contract, Rich, and that's the other thing I wonder how, and we'll go to break, but when we come back, we'll talk about, does the NHL, are they going to have to change their draft rules?
Oh yeah.
Right. Because of when you draft a player out of college, you can own their rights a lot longer than if you draft a player out of major junior. And so is that going to have to change? We'll discuss that next on the Gregor Show, the business of sports, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born, blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
At Vision Credit Union, we've been around a long time. In fact, we've been serving rural Alberta communities for 75 years. We launched in 1950 with $128, 21 members, and a mission to help our communities. It's still our mission today. That's why we return 75% of Vision's profits to members, offer full-service banking in underserved rural communities, and prioritize contributing to charitable causes in our hometowns. We're here for good. VisionCU.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.448. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Rich Winter, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having an awesome day. It is game day. Oilers taking on the Dallas Stars. No lineup changes for Edmonton from last game, other than Kapanen and Perry swapping lines. Rich Winter continues on. We were talking, Rich, before the break about the draft rules. And so currently anybody out there, if you draft a player who's in the Western Hockey League, and you own the rights basically for 2 years.
Right.
And technically just a little bit under, because it's May of, so it's about 23 months. And then you'd have to sign them to a contract. If you don't, then they're eligible to go back in the draft.
Right.
If they're their first year of draft. Now, if you draft someone who's 18, 19 plus, they would become a free agent. Mm-hmm. Right. So the small, whereas NCAA players, you draft them, they go to NCAA. You don't have to sign them for 4 years, technically. Now, if they want to leave early, then there's the rule they can leave early. They get that August out, so it's 3 years. But with all of this stuff changing, so let's say you draft a kid out of the Western League. He plays one more year in the dub, and then he goes NCAA. Now you can't sign him because he's in the NCAA. So does it automatically just extend?
We don't know the answer to some of those questions because it wasn't possible till a few months ago. So yeah, there's a lot of work that's going to have to be done in the collective bargaining agreement to address those kinds of things. And that's where a lot of thought has to go into it. Like you talked about the the league's getting younger. Well, maybe they have to get older. Maybe the WHL has to be an 18 to 22-year-old league, right? To sort of be that advanced league into the American Hockey League. Because if parents didn't really like their kids going to Moose Jaw when they're 16, because that's 300 miles away from home, sometimes 18 or 20 way too far from home from the AHL. So I think there's going to be a lot of discussion around what do these leagues look like? What are the age groups that are going to play in them? How are we going to deal with the rules? Because right now you got to, one huge advantage going to the NCAA is at the end of your 4-year college degree, you're a completely unrestricted free agent, like at the age of 22. I mean, how attractive is that if you're a centerman to pick another team than Edmonton? Because ultimately it seems like the center position's probably okay for the next couple of years, right? You've got no opportunity here. So there's just a lot of dynamics here that are going to affect parents' decisions, team decisions, and a lot of the answers just haven't been drafted so people can figure out where the landscape is. It's going to be interesting.
Well, doesn't it have to be done before this year's draft?
You would think, because it's going to be confusing if it's not.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of the Wild West, and then you look at some teams trying to influence it either way, and somebody trying to, well, you know what, geez, I'm not going to sign now. I guess the good news is it's not like the rookies can really, hold that there's a maximum you can get.
Right.
So it's not like, they're going to say, well, if you don't pay me, well, this is what I can offer you. Now,
See, but the other thing's really interesting. So you're in Michigan.
Yeah.
You're like an Adam Fox clone, and you're going, I can stay here another year, make $300,000-$400,000. Like, I'm not going to sign with the Calgary Flames or the Winnipeg Jets or whoever it is. I'm making more money here than I make in the minors. So there's going to be another shift that people haven't given a lot of thought to. Maybe I just go to college for 2 years, make $500,000 a year, and then look at an NHL opportunity in a city at 22 that I'm convinced I can play on that team, and the complement of players, which just happens to include my old line mate from college. It's just, there's so many moving parts now that it's just changing. Everything's going to be changed dramatically, but it's going to weigh the good thing at the end of it all. It's going to give the player the power that he hasn't had. Keep in mind, this is involuntary servitude, right? It's a draft that shouldn't exist. You can imagine any other profession being told where to live and where to work. But it's here. It has been here, and it has something we have to deal with, but ultimately it's going to be gone. There's just too many options.
Yeah, well, I need to see hockey players make this. Everybody's talking about a hockey player making $500,000 or whatever, but none have done it yet. So I'll believe it when I see it. I keep hearing all the talk, but again, it's all talk to me until I actually see the hockey guys getting this money. And right now, the Canadian kids can't even get it, my understanding, having talked to people. So it's going to be a few of the American players.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's probably coming. You're right. But how long is it coming?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be the chunk. Because I think we would like the hockey landscape. There are some NCAA programs, but very few of them where hockey is the number one program.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Football, baseball,
But
basketball.
keep in mind, the hockey community, fairly high demographic in terms of net worth, fairly successful families. They graduate a lot of kids to places like Goldman Sachs. So, yeah, it might be a smaller program, but if you look at the alumni base, it might be a wealthier than the hockey or baseball alumni. So,
yeah, no, that's valid, right? That's valid. And it's definitely going to be kind of an interesting one. The concern, and we got a lot of texts coming in. Hey, guys, are you concerned that hockey's just going to become about money more than skill?
it would be a shame if the players took the same perspective the owners did and just made it about the money. That would be a terrible thing.
No, I think.
No, I'm kidding. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't think it's as effective. I mean, as important as people think. I've always said in my business that there's two things in every contract. There's money and opportunity, and you should always chase opportunity because one leads to more money, but it also leads to more happiness. So I don't know that it changes much. I don't see players that I represent change much when they go from making $400 a month, making 10 or 11 million, if they're good people.
Right.
Ultimately, Sidney Crosby is not going to be trying a little bit lesser than he would otherwise but it's going to be like Brian Burke always says, it's a big, big problem. When you give that kid at 21, that 8-year deal, you don't know how he reacts to that. Right. So,
Totally fair.
so the fans, right. But I don't think that, it's going to be about money, but it's also going to be about opportunity. There are a lot of teams in the NHL that are have terrible development programs, who have coaches who shouldn't be there, who are friends of owners or friends of GMs who are doing a terrible job, who may be ruining the careers of certain players.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to give that young man a chance to go, I have a plan and it's not here. I don't have to put up with that. And I think, yeah, maybe money will be affected, but there's so much money now. It's more likely to create positive change in the game, to help with mental health, help get coaches in there that have experiences in developing better programs, teaching players more, helping them become better people, because people just like to play for people that they love to play with, who that respect them, who are teaching them. That message will get out very quickly. And I think the fans' concern is less so because there's so much money now, but we should be excited about it, because when players and families start making choices like, I want to play with that group, because that's a group of quality men that are coaching my kid, it will improve the game. And we do need that, because we are far behind the rest of the other sports in coaching capabilities.
Hey guys, I was more so referencing the younger demographics and the far that if you don't have money, your kid's not going to have an opportunity. And that is something that the NHL and the WHL and major junior hockey probably has to be cognizant of, because you do eliminate your talent pool rather quickly if you shrink it and cost becomes a thing, where there could be some great athlete who doesn't have the cost. And I don't know. You'd honestly need a. I know that the NHL puts money into so everybody can play type of things, and I understand that, and that's good. But you probably have to look a little bit deeper in them, because I see some associations at U8 and U9 now. These are the best kids, and I'm like, hockey's a late developing sport. And if you want to make them all in the AA team at 9, great. Yeah. But make sure you have the same amount of quality coaching in your association for the kids who are on the quote second tier team, because some of those kids, I'm telling you right now, in 3 years are going to be better than the kids you think are the best at 9.
Or they'll quit and we'll never figure that out because they didn't get the best coaching. They didn't have the best experience and they just gave it up. Right. But it is a big problem. The numbers are going to decrease. And that's why the Europeans have such a huge advantage over us. Their club teams are paying for the equipment. Their club teams are providing the ice time for free. So if they get a kid that they think has athletic ability playing on the grade 3 soccer team at the local elementary school, they get him in the program, they get him in equipment, and they are by far, as a group, at the young ages especially, way better coaches, way better. In fact, Frank Musil, I remember when Frank went back to, after playing 10, 12 years in the NHL, he wasn't allowed to coach in the Czech Republic. He had to get a certificate.
Yeah.
He had to take his training. So, yeah, there's lots of issues. And if it's not, we've talked about this in the mental health perspective. If they're not having a good experience, and that's tough because it's nuts at 8 or 9, parents, coaches, guys with absolutely no training in how to handle a young person that age. It's just, and people quit. I mean, my grandson wanted to quit last year. He just didn't enjoy it. And finally his big brother convinced him to play. And they now call him the G-man. He's scoring more goals than anybody else in the team, but he was that close to quitting because of the experience he had. We have a lot of work to do if Canada thinks they're going to be in the medal rounds in the next, in the foreseeable future.
I think there's a lot of people that still, a simple thing, because now I'm not playing at a super high level, but even if I was at U13, coaches who coach to win and not develop players are failing their player, because I always look and say, okay, so let's say it's a 2. Now, if you want to do it for the last 5 minutes of a game and miss one shift, I can live with that.
Yeah.
You have an open conversation with the kids. And guess what? If the next game, the kid who sat the last time is playing great, you don't just keep benching the same players, right, for one shift. Yeah. But I see teams who do this in the first period, the second period, and you're like, what do you do? What are you doing? Is it really worth to win that bad if you then make the game infinitely less enjoyable for 5, 6, 7, 8 kids? Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and then
that's happening far too often.
Well, and there's the whole practice versus play scenario. They just need to be practicing more. They just need to practice more. You'll touch a puck 50 to 100 times, you might touch it, at three or 4 times in a game if you're that lucky.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. Rich, good stuff, man. We will see you again next Wednesday on the show. And we might. I don't want to jinx it, but I think we got a few big guests coming up here in the next few weeks, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It will be fun.
Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace or AC unit. Go to legacyheating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
It's game day. The Oilers in action tonight, hosting the Dallas Stars. Puck drop 8 o'clock. That means we got pregame coverage going from 6 till 8. Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Elsewhere on the NHL, you got the Canucks and Islanders, Devils in Chicago, and the Ducks host the Bruins. In the association, Toronto back in action. They'll travel to Brooklyn to take on the Nets. That gets going at 5:30. Also, Clippers, Knicks, Lakers, Pacers. The Nuggets host the Bucks, and the Celtics taking on the Suns. In the PWHL, one game tonight. Got Toronto and Boston meeting. That gets going in about 5 minutes' time. And in the AJ playoffs continue tonight. Kodiaks host Calgary. Canucks lead that series 2-1. Fort Mac takes on a Whitecourt, trailing 2-1. Got Canmore in Drumheller. Dragons lead that series 2-1. And the Storm can complete the sweep over the Bobcats tonight in Lloyd. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off, presented by Christensen Communities Limited, hits the ice April 25th to 27th, pairing hockey fans with some of their favorite players from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend in support of the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories. Friday features a champions luncheon followed by the teams hitting the ice on Saturday and Sunday in a friendly hockey tournament at Terwilliger Rec Center. To purchase a table to the champions luncheon or to learn more about how you can get involved in the tournament, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca for more info.
Blue Jays baseball is back on Sports 1440. This Saturday and Sunday, listen live to the broadcast of Canada's favorite team. Proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball. We are Sports 1440.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
RV Wars hits the north side March 27th to 30th at the Old Lowe's building. Go RV, Vision RV, and Arcan RV have joined forces for RV Wars. Take advantage of pre-tariff pricing on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. The last of the 2024 models are being cleared out. Make no payments for 6 months OAC. Now is the time to buy with special discounted finance rates. Free admission with a donation to the food bank. RV Wars this weekend on the north side. 9603 165 Avenue. Visit rvwars.ca.
Truck Month is on now at GMC, and it's one of the best times to get behind the wheel. Right now, get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models with a 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen, and available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 engine with 470 horsepower. Plus, the most trailering assistance technologies in its class. Sierra has some serious hauling power and is the only off-road ready HD. Truck Month is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Hey campers, Brent Fullerton from Carefree RV.
If you're looking to make this year's camping season
Like
just
in
a
the-
little
Yeah,
extra
but
Canadian,
all roads kind of
we
led
have you
back
covered.
to
We
hockey.
carry travel trailers and
But,
motorhomes.
you know, my
that are
understanding was
Canadian
picked in the
built
But
by
anything
great
on
companies
Columbus
like Pro
observing
Life
what-
and Road Trek. Come see
And
our
your
selection in
Planet
store
Nebraska.
or
I'd love
online
to talk
and
to
keep
Dan.
it
once
Canadian
more.
at
The-
carefreerv.ca.
I love the colorful clothes you wear and the way the sunlight plays upon her head. Hear the sound of her chirp.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.506. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Cougar with you. Hope you're having an awesome day. Of course, the Oilers taking on the Dallas Stars, the second half of a doubleheader on TNT. The early game has the Canucks taking on the New York Islanders, two teams who are currently outside of the playoffs, but both within striking distance. The Islanders 1 point back of the Canadians. They each have 12 games left. The Canucks are 5 back of the Blues with 2 games in hand. Safe to say, I think tonight is a pretty big game if the Canucks want to get into the playoffs. Let's get to the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. They are the underground infrastructure specialists. Whether it's having your water working in your neighborhood or the freeways that flow everybody across the city, it's GS Construction getting it done. As Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Spec, how you doing?
Doing great, man. What's going on?
Oh, you know what? Just interested to see the Oilers tonight against obviously a much better team in Dallas than we saw in Seattle. Although it was interesting listening to our Dallas guest earlier, Josh Bogarad, and he said, you know, Dallas has had really good results, but they're not loving their process. They've been giving up way too much. So we'll see. Like, I don't know, maybe Edmonton can keep sleepwalking because the Oilers are well rested. Spec 3 days off. Like, fatigue is not a factor. I know they don't have Draisaitl. I know they don't have McDavid, but you know what? They've still got lots of other good players, lots of really good players, especially their back end. Like, there can't be an excuse to say, oh, we're playing a good team, we can't win.
Well, a good team without their best player, do not forget, in Miro Heiskanen. So I'm you know, I kind of enjoy watching this Oilers team in the short term, and watching everybody else do what they do and try to do it just a little bit better to make up for the lack of, you know, your 2 top end guys. It's a luxury to have 2 of the top, you know, 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever, 2 players in the league, in the world. It's a luxury, man. Every other team would kill for it. But it also inevitably stifles a lot of guys in your lineup who don't get minutes, who don't get roles, who defer to those guys who, you know, who are secondary players. Everybody's a secondary player in Edmonton. So it's kind of fun watching a bunch of secondary players hit the ice tonight and a bunch of them trying to become primary players. I enjoy the process a little bit.
Yeah, well, if they get a few of them who do it for a few games, like last game it was Nugent Hopkins. Heck, Darnell Nurse has 4 points in 2 games without Leon Draisaitl. So you know what? You need all different guys stepping up a little bit offensively. Kasperi Kapanen is a unique player. Like, I have no illusions that, you know, this is obviously a long-term answer by any stretch. But I'm telling you, Spec, you talk to Chris Nombach, like, man, when you watch him in practice, you're like, oh my, like everything that you'd want in a player is there. Heavy player. smart player, skates well, shoots the puck, but you just don't see it often enough in games.
Yeah, that's the he was a first round pick is my recollection. I saw him today in the dressing room standing there basically in spandex, with the cutoff, like the mid thigh, whatever you call those biking shorts almost. He's got a huge trunk on him, man. He has the hockey legs and the hockey butt. There is a giant engine down there. So you're right, man. Everything you see, you like. You look at that guy and you think he should be a 75-point player. And for whatever reason, throughout his career, it hasn't been there enough. But you know what? I often talk. How old is Kasperi Kapanen right now, Jay? I don't.
I want to say he's 26, but I'll double check.
Kasperi Kapanen?
Yeah, he's 28. 28, actually.
28. So I often think about and sort of talk about that intersection with players when they hit a certain age and they get a certain opportunity, and sometimes they hit an intersection where I would say it's fair to say Kasperi Kapanen has underachieved in his career. He hasn't given what you think he could give. He's also never played on a team that's got a chance like this one. He's never been surrounded maybe with players like this team. And at 28, maybe he's in the place. Maybe he's at the time where he says, okay, you know what? Enough of this being inconsistent. I'm going to figure it out. Enough of not bringing it every night. I'm going to bring it every night. I thought his game here has been pretty good, Jay, compared to, remember, he was waived in his last two places he played. So you never know what you're going to get from this guy, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. But I can see why teams are intrigued by him because there's lots there. It's funny. You talk to Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard, and both of them will say, hardest snapshot on the team, it's not close. It's Kasperi Kapanen, right?
Really?
And so, oh yeah, right. And even players, like I remember I had an interview with Derek Ryan just talking about, and then Ryan, oh yeah, and Kasperi Kapanen, like that guy's got a bomb, and I'm just like, what? And so that's when I started asking around, and Calvin Pickard, who obviously sees way more shots than anybody else in practice, is like, oh yeah, like he can absolutely rip it. And, so you got to be in the position to rip it. And then, you got to get it away quick. And, there's lots of factors as to why maybe you don't see it that often. But, there is a guy there that you wonder because the Oilers don't need a full-time answer. They just need a short-term answer.
Well, and I'm kind of looking at their lineup, and maybe it's being hopeful, maybe it's not. I'm looking at their playoff lineup, and I'm seeing guys scattered throughout it who have potential. We just outlined what Kasperi Kapanen might be able to give you here and there. Jeff Skinner, he's a guy that scored 1 million goals in his career, man. Played a long time. He's going to be peppered somewhere into the bottom six probably when this thing's all said and done. Corey Perry's a guy on your fourth line that, man, he's shown he still has his hands if he doesn't have his feet anymore. They got guys up and down their lineup that can get you a goal here and get you a goal there. They got Evander Kane hopefully coming back here. There's a guy that knows how to score, right? So, there's people scattered all over the lineup who make you think that maybe they're the one in a 2-2 game that can give you the third goal, in a tight, tough playoff atmosphere. And sometimes that's the team that wins.
Yeah, no, it's true. Now, Spec, I looked at some numbers. And they're not great. When you consider last year, teams starting on the road in round one, won one playoff series. The year before, 2. The year before that, 2. Now, the Oilers have started the last 3 years all at home, and they won every year. They did win in the second round 2 out of 3 years on the road. And then last year, won on the road in round 3, the only team to do it in round 2 and round 3. So that's good. And I know that Edmonton's team is going to look very different potentially with Frederick and Kane come playoff time. And, the LA Kings might be a great home team, but they're not a very good road team. So, we'll see. I would still like Edmonton there. But, man, with all these injuries and the way the Kings are playing, another big win last night, it's starting to seem more and more like the Oilers are probably going to be going to Lotus Land to start for the first time. And I don't know if they've ever started a series in LA, actually. I don't think they have.
I don't, and it sure
maybe
happens.
89, maybe 89. I'd have to go back and look.
Oh, yeah, that's so long ago it doesn't even matter anymore in the context of this. If it's before I started on the beat, it's ancient history, okay? prehistoric.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
It sure turned quick. Like, if that's how it goes, everybody else got really hot. The Oilers, they've been winning their share, but they had a cold spell. Now their best two guys are hurt. All of a sudden, LA can't lose. Vegas never loses. All of a sudden, you're going, geez, third place. Like, it seemed like 5 minutes ago they were pressing for first place. What happened here? So, and listen, I'm not a huge, like, I know the stats, obviously you've done the stats, they don't back me up. I'm not a giant, I don't have a giant concern about home ice advantage in the playoffs until we get to a game 7. I watch an Oilers team that tends to lose one of the first two at home and lose their home ice advantage within the first 2 games of the series. And I watch an Oilers team that's been pretty good at coming out on the road and ripping off a game in the other team's building. Even in that Stanley Cup final, Jay, that game 1, if Bobrovsky isn't, otherworldly, they win the first game of the series, and then who knows what happens. So I don't have a huge concern about the Oilers starting on the road. I don't know about you.
Well, to do it 4 rounds in a row, I think what would be the Kings. They won the Cup in 2012, I think, because they were the number 8 seed, and so they obviously are on the road for everyone. So it's doable for sure, right? The last team to win the Cup, even in the Cup final, who was the road team, was St. Louis in 2019. So I do think it matters. Now, Edmonton's a pretty skilled team, so yes, but and who knows, if they win around and, maybe Vegas is upset, then, I guess, that's possible. They could do it, start the
could happen. Yeah, I hear you.
It is interesting. You're right that how quickly it's kind of turned here. Now, obviously that happens when you have 2 major injuries, right? Because if McDavid and Draisaitl are playing tonight, everyone's like, oh yeah, the Oilers are right in it. And so that's why I still believe if the Oilers want to stay in it, their depth guys are going to have to show up here this week. Like, this is huge opportunity. But I think we will know, regardless of the results per se, the results will matter. How they play without those 2, I think gives us a pretty good sign of what they are.
Well, and this group has to let them be in a position when they show up in LA next. What is that day? Is it going to be a Saturday afternoon, I think? Because it's a day game. The Edmonton Oilers play in LA next week, right? I think it's a Saturday.
Next Saturday afternoon, 2:00.
Yeah, there you go. This group now, it kind of looks like Draisaitl's going to show up pretty quick here. Like, looking at him today, does he play Saturday night against Calgary? You can't tell me it's not a possibility. Not a possibility.
I guess it's a possibility. I think he's skated today, Spec. The team's on the road tomorrow. They're not skating Friday. I don't think he's playing Saturday.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't know the extent of his injury. But my point would be this group has to keep them in some kind of line here, at least until they get, they got to go into Vegas. They might not have anyone back, like McDavid or Draisaitl back. Let's see. Then they get a game in San Jose. These guys have to win that game. They got to have them within shouting distance, like within a point or 2 when they get to LA. There's 2 games left against the Kings. And those 2 games, if you take care of business the rest of the way, you could say to yourself, okay, we got 2 against the Kings. That's where we're going to make it up. If you start losing to Seattle and Calgary, those 2 against the Kings aren't going to matter much.
Yeah, no, well, that's true, right? So it'll be, what did you, we get a lot of texts, people saying, the Frederic trade's looking worse by the day because, now it's like, geez, he's going to be out for another few weeks here.
Yikes.
Does it matter? Do you think, at what point does the Frederic trade, I guess obviously it's going to depend how he plays, but like, does it matter to you if he gets in 4 regular season games, he gets in 6 or 7, or does it all matter how he performs in the playoffs, regardless of how many regular season games he plays?
Yeah. Or does it matter if he signs with you, right? Like, we judge trades in hindsight, and I know it's unfair to the GMs because they don't get to make them in hindsight. They make a trade and they put their reputation on the line. And then a year later, you guys like you and me go, well, you know what? Turned out that was a lousy trade, right? And that's how it works. So if the Oilers play 1 round of playoffs, regardless of how well Trent Frederic plays, it's a bad trade. They've given up, what they gave up, and he's not playing many regular season games. And if they don't win the first round or so, you can't say it's a bad trade. If they sign Trent Frederic and he stays here, then it's a hell of a trade. I don't care what happens this season because he's a good player. He's younger than the guys they got, and he's a totally different element to what they have. So, it's unfair to Stan Bowman, but I'm not going to judge this trade until I see, frankly, either they go a long ways and win a cup with this guy, or they sign him this summer to a 3-year deal.
Yeah, I would believe that, you acquire Trent Frederick, and you want a great run, but their whole hope is you want to acquire Trent Frederick and re-sign him because he is a very unique player that brings an element that just not a lot of guys in the NHL have. He's got skill, but he's got a lot of grit, and he's got physical toughness, and there's just not a ton of guys like that.
If he doesn't start playing for you, though, and if you don't get many playoff games in, like what you want here is for him to get a bond with the team, a bond with the city, an experience here that he loves, a chance to really get a taste of what it's like to be an Edmonton Oiler. I don't think he has that taste yet. And that the St. Louis Blues, his hometown, are going to be coming after him hard on July 1st, right? That is just a fact. He's a UFA, and he can do whatever he wants. I don't know. Some guys want to go home, Jay. Other guys, that is the last place they want to go. So I don't know what Trent Frederick's thinking, but the advantage the Edmonton Oilers have is, they're a cup contending team right now, and it will help them and help their cause if he gets a taste of that this, over the next couple months. He'll be a lot easier to sign if they've had a lot of success here, I would say.
Yeah, very true. Spec, we'll see you at the rink. Go have a nap.
All right, Jay.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. And I understand. I totally get it. The concern about Trent Frederick. But again, like, people were all upset about Adam Henrique. Oh my God, we gave up a first. You got Adam Henrique for that year. They went to the Cup final. They also had Sam Carrick chipped in. Then you could make an argument they could have kept Carrick over Derek Ryan, but then you re-signed Adam Henrique. So you give up a pick for 3 years of Adam Henrique. I'd do it again. I have no problem with that. And what you gave up for Trent Frederick, and you're going to get him, if you sign him, it's a win. Regardless of what happens this year. You re-sign Trent Frederick, that's a win. When we return, Dennis Bernstein will join us at the playoff push. Oiler fans, you kind of know where you're at for sure. You're stuck in the Pacific. It's going to be 2 or 3 most likely. So it's home or away, likely against LA, although the Kings probably still have hopes that maybe they could catch Vegas. We'll see. But we'll talk about the playoff races because they're all over the place. The Atlantic Division's got no idea who's winning that division. Colorado, Dallas are in a dogfight for home ice advantage. You have the wild cards in both the East and the West. So lots to discuss when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, so the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh, yeah. Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations at Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Yeah. Feel it, baby.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site service? Rain or shine, Japa Service Department is here for you. Get a quote now at japamachinery.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:25. Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having an awesome day. Orders taking on the Dallas Stars tonight. A little bit of a light Wednesday night in the NHL. 4 games. First one's underway. The Canucks and the Islanders getting going in a bit. Like, why couldn't you have started, like, they have a doubleheader and they can't start that game earlier? Like, it's just lunacy at times to me. Like, they'll make the Orders play a 6:30 start sometimes because they want to get it on for a game. But then they won't make the Islanders start a half an hour earlier on home ice, like a 7 o'clock start Eastern. Like, what are they doing? Devils, Blackhawks, Stars, and Orders. And then the Bruins taking on the Ducks. And the Boston Bruins, we officially eliminated them from playoffs earlier this week. They're done. They're out. And the Canucks, man, you lose tonight. Oof. They might be on my year out list at that point. 5 back of the Blues with 11 games to go. That's a lot of ground to make up in a short period of time. Quick text, and then we'll get to our guest. Hey, Greg, do you think the Bruins might have misrepresented Frederick's injury? No, I think they're probably very upfront. You don't know an exact return date from a high ankle sprain. That's just how it is. Like, some guys are going to heal better than others. And you can have a little setback and you can be ultra cautious with it. So, no, I don't think so. And the other silver lining here is that, Frederick comes in and, now he's just, his stats are going to, now he's a UFA, so maybe it doesn't matter that much, but maybe a little bit, right? Guys can cash in when you have big years. And sometimes if you don't have a big year, you only have 8 goals on a season. Those are the stats they're going to look at. So, that could be a benefit maybe in contract negotiation. We shall see. Let's get to our playoff push, brought to you by our Alberta GMC dealers. It's Ford month. It's truck month at Alberta GMC dealers right now, where you can get a $5,000 cash credit on any Sierra 1500 model. Stop in now at any of the dealers, including Wolf GMC, big sponsor of the Low Tide Show. So any GMC dealer in Alberta, you get a great truck. Ooh, they're pretty special. As we welcome in from the fourth period, Sirius XM, Dennis Bernstein joins us. Dennis, my man, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Doing great. You ready to be here the 3rd week of April?
Well, it's looking that way, isn't it? Can the Kings catch the Golden Knights maybe?
Don't think so. Not enough runway left. And Vegas is playing great. And if you watch Jack Eichel play last night, look, I'm probably going to vote for Leon for the MVP, but this guy might be second. There's just not enough time and space. And plus, I think the two games, and you mentioned it with Spec, the two games against the Kings really determine who's going to be the 2 and 3 seed. So I just don't think there's enough runway. They're playing really, really well. I think an indication, if they could catch them, how they play tomorrow night in Colorado, because they never play good in Colorado. And Kings have, they're taking care of business at home. Everybody knows 3 regulation losses the entire season. It's not about the outcome, Jason. It's how they play Colorado, because I know people have talked about Brock Nelson coming in as the 2 seed. Nobody's talking about Charlie Coyle as a 3 seed. This is a very, very dangerous team. So if they can get by Colorado tomorrow night, I might change my opinion about first, but I think we're looking at a round 4 between the Kings and the Oilers.
Yeah,
and to the end of the month.
Depending how the Oilers do this week without Draisaitl and McDavid, that LA game on the Saturday the 5th might not mean much if they're 6 points back of the Kings by then. So that's why I've said it for me. If the Oilers want home ice, they got to win 2 out of 3 this week to stay within strike.
Agreed. No problem. Yep, absolutely. They have to. And look, it's time for other guys to stand up. These are massive losses for the team. But I agree with you. If they can get 2 out of 3, then we're probably looking at maybe the game in Edmonton, the next and last road game for the Kings that might decide the home ice.
So when I look at LA and I see a 26-3-4 home record, and it's great, but then out of all the playoff teams in the West, they have the fewest road wins, 14, 18-5. Why are they so Jekyll and Hyde? Is it an oddity, Dennis? What is it? Why are they being so much better at home?
I think it's a disparity, is an oddity, but Jason, the way they play games, if they get behind on the road, they don't win. I know they've scored a bunch of goals over the weekend. They scored 14, which I was shocked at. Not really shocked against the Bruins because, as you mentioned, that's an AHL team. That's a Providence Bruins right now. But when they get behind, they just don't generate enough offense still to come from behind on the road, Jason. So I think that's the biggest thing. So I don't think it's a little bit of an anomaly, but not so much because their style doesn't lend itself towards great road wins, because you have to score on the road, Jason, and they don't really do it that much.
Well, and that it's funny because like you look at even, some individual players, Byfield at home is tearing it up and then not so much on the road. Now, when they're on the road, Dennis, and they get behind, is it because they're not comfortable opening it up? They still don't want to? Why is it that they can score, I'm not at will might be a stretch, but they can score pretty good at home, but they just can't score on the road. What is it like? Is their team still too cautious? Do you see a noticeable difference in how they play?
It's a defense first team, Jason. It's always going to be a defensive first team. So they're not going to open it up. If they go down 2-0, they're going to stay to their profile, their DNA. Their DNA is checking for their chances, playing good defense, and having Darcy Kemper, who, other than Vasilevsky and Hellebuck's, had a fantastic season. Like, he might be the third candidate for the Vezina, to be honest with you. He's been that good down the stretch for them. But they don't pinch. They don't take risks. There's not a lot of risky players on this team. There's 2. There's Kevin Fiala and Brant Clark to some extent, but Brant Clark's on the third pair. So they're going to stay to their game. They're going to be patient. They're going to check for the chances. That doesn't lend itself towards multiple goal comebacks on the road, and that's been the biggest challenge for them on the road. And to your point, I think they have the least amount of road wins for any playoff qualifier right now.
Yes.
And it's great to have home ice, Jason, until you lose the first game at home, and then you don't have home ice anymore. So they're going to have to be better on the road here if they want to do any damage in the postseason.
And really, if they look against Edmonton, and I broke down all those 3 series, and the difference was, Dennis, it was special teams. Like their 5-on-5 goals were actually even throughout the 3 years and pretty much every year. But on special teams, the Oilers' power play murdered them, and then the Kings' power play couldn't do anything. So have their special teams improved enough in your eyes?
The penalty kill's been fine. The power play, Jason, was, I think, 31st in the league until Kuzmenko came. And the first couple of games, look, I get it. And it's for any player trying to assimilate to a new system, a new team. He didn't do anything the first 5 or 6 games. I said, well, look, that wouldn't be the move I made. I would have made a better move. We get a Brock Besser or a Carl Palmieri or whoever, a scorer, a shooter. Kuzmenko's a passer, but he's opened up the offense on the power play. Like, they're more comfortable there. He's a very creative player. They needed that player. And since the trade deadline, they're converting at 26% on the power play. I think they were converting 15% before that. So, look, I think this team is the best equipped, other than the first year when they went 7, to beat the Oilers. Because I don't think the Oilers are as good as defensively. And not for nothing, Jason, let's be real here. The last 3 seasons, the Kings got bullied by the Oilers. They're not getting bullied this year. They're not. They got Edmondson. They have Janot, who got hurt last night, who it might be a more serious injury. And they got Sammy Helanis, who's 6'6" in the middle. They're not going to get intimidated by this team. So I think they have a very good chance. I think right now it would be even. And you're right, Jason, it probably comes down to special teams. So the Oilers don't do what they've done in the last 3 seasons on the special teams. Kings might win this series.
Yeah, the big one for me will be the Oilers and just how different they look with Kane and Frederick in the lineup,
Agreed.
right? For them, they like obviously we're not going to see Kane until the playoffs, and who knows when we're going to see Trent Frederick. But when those two guys are in, they're guys, because to me, like Janot plays minutes. He's not a fourth line guy who plays 8 minutes, right? Like to me, when someone says, oh, he's a physical player, but it's hard to be an impact player when you're only playing 8 minutes, right? Janot can play. He's obviously tough. I saw him fight Rempe last night, try to pick him up when he fell to say, let's keep going, which was kind of nuts. And I know Tanner, big, strong dude. Like
he is, man. Oh, he's solid. All right. He's got like 1% body fat. If he's just the only guy in the room, they needed that. So when they traded a second round pick, I know people go crazy over that. That's what they needed. This is a different Kings team. They're certainly more confident at home. They have to be more confident on the road. But the physicality that the Oilers brought the last 3 seasons, I think the Kings can match it this year. I really think they can.
What about Fiala? How's his season going?
The last 2 months, you've had a perfect Kevin Fiala.
Okay.
No hero plays, no blind passes, no bad decisions, no stupid penalties in the neutral zone. He's been amazing, and that's what's galvanized Quentin Byfield. And that pair is going to be dangerous. And Jason, right now, I know there's Kopitar and Kempe on the team, but that's their number 1 line right now. Like that's their most productive line. And Quentin Byfield has become a 200-foot player who plays defense, who plays on the penalty kill. Kevin Fiala is going to get 30 goals. He's a force, and the combination of those two guys makes it a very dangerous combination right now with Alex Laferriere on the other side. That's their number 1 line.
Well, man, I've been a huge Quentin Byfield fan. I just, some guys take a little bit longer to develop, and I won't be surprised at all that Quentin Byfield's a 90-point player at some point down the road. I really believe that he's that good, and a lot of it comes from once he figures out how good he is, Dennis.
Yeah,
because I think that's sometimes right now he's the guy. There's not this internal belief and confidence, and once how all of a sudden it's like you know what, I'm going to dominate because there's not many big dudes that can skate like him.
He needed to be an alpha dog. He was too deferral. He was deferring all the time, and he didn't do that. And here's the thing, and I mentioned this on our podcast with John Hovan, and John says hi, loves you. So Kings of the podcast. Remember the narrative a couple of years ago? Maybe the Kings should have drafted Stützle instead of Byfield. Well, the Rangers were here last night. Maybe the Rangers now should have drafted Byfield instead of Lafreniere.
Oh, yeah, you could make that argument. Probably.
Yeah. But and the other thing with Byfield is he's shooting the puck.
Yes.
These guys this team, Jason, I know they're playing really well. I think they're on pace for 103 points. Every time they have a 2-on-1, they blow it. I sit in the press box with my friends and I just go, oh no, this is not going to work. They just make terrible decisions on 2-on-1s because they don't shoot the puck. They're trying to make the perfect play. And with respect to Byfield, he's now shooting the puck. The puck's going back. He's got a great shot. He never used it before because he's not he's not deferring to the other guys on the line, the more veteran guys. He's, like I said, that's their number 1 line right now in Los Angeles.
You mentioned Colorado, that them and Dallas are on a collision course to meet in round 1. It looks like they're, Dallas. I know that they mathematically have a chance, but I don't think they have a chance to catch Winnipeg. So they're gonna battle for home ice there. And Dallas obviously has the advantage with 2 games in hand and 3-point lead. The Rantanen, Dallas, Colorado angle's fascinating to me. And Colorado really loaded up as well with Nelson and Charlie Coyle and Lindgren on the back end. If Heiskanen's back, and it's not a guarantee he will be. Talked to the coach this morning, and they're like, well, we hope he can skate. And he's not even skating yet. So, Sagan's on the trip. He's skating. He's going to be ready. We don't know about Heiskanen. So that definitely puts a big wrench. Because if Heiskanen's healthy, that's a whole different series. If he isn't, I'd take Colorado.
Even if Heiskanen's healthy, comes down to one guy. The guy that your team beat last year in net. It's about Ottinger. Is Ottinger going to be great? Is he going to be good? Is he going to be mediocre? All right, because against the Colorado Avalanche, he's going to have to be great, Jason. There's too much firepower on that team, and that's it. I love their strength down the middle. That's how teams win, right? Down the middle. And they have McKinnon, they have Brock Nelson, and they have Charlie Coyle. It's going to be tough. Without Heiskanen, it's tough for Dallas, but it's tougher if the goaltender doesn't play, 920, 925 save percentage playoffs. You saw it last year. That's what turned the series. I remember that game up 2-0, and the Oilers came back and wound up winning that series. I think it comes down to Jake Ottinger again, and we'll see what happens with him. There's not much separating these teams. And yeah, I think if Winnipeg lost that game last night in regulation, I would have given Dallas a legit shot to win that division. But when they came back last night and like they gave Velarde injury, he's going to be out till the playoffs. I agree. Like with the Pacific, the Central, there's not enough runway, I think, Dallas to catch Winnipeg. So that's going to be a massive matchup, Dallas and Colorado. But again, I think it comes down to Jake Ottinger and net for Dallas to win that series.
Colorado might be getting Landeskog to be their fourth line center.
That would be amazing. Oh, he's scared. I don't know. And now there's a documentary on him, the comeback and everything like that. That would be the last thing they need is another forward. Then it might. But again, Jason, he hasn't played in what, 2 years?
3 years. 3 years.
3 years. Like what can you expect from the guy? Look, it's like when Stamkos played and when they won the cup, in the bubble. Like the emotional boost you're going to get from that guy, maybe in the first series. But after that, he's going to have to play, Jason. You can only get emotional boost for 1 or 2 games, and then you have to play the game.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like I think his adrenaline and everything would be great for a game or two, but then you'd be just like, will there be any rust? But, if he's a fourth line center and that's all he is, you're like, well, it's not a bad fourth line center for 9-10 minutes a night, maybe in the playoffs.
For sure.
The St. Louis Blues, now they're beating teams because they got a pretty good schedule right now. I get it. But where do you come out on the Blues? Like they're on a train that's rolling. Heck, they might catch Minnesota for goodness sakes.
I don't want them to catch Minnesota. You know why? I want first round Winnipeg, St. Louis, Binnington against Hellebuck. That's what I want.
Rematch for the Four Nations.
Exactly.
I like that.
They're a really good team. And they're doing it without Parenko. And they did it all year without Torrey Krug. And they have a really good coach. I don't know, Jason, because you know what? It changes a game 83.
Yes.
If you're playing the same team every night. And they have Connor Halley, who needs to prove something. The deepest he's gone, I think, is 2018. He went to the Final Four. So, and he has probably a little, axe to grind with respect to St. Louis. They faced them. So St. Louis is playing well. They've been there. A lot of guys on that team have won. They have depth. Jordan Kyrou has 30 goals. It's a really good team. And I have to talk about the 2 additions that they have that fans at Edmonton wish they still had. It's a dangerous team. I'll put it to you that way. I'm not sure it's a 4-round team, though. I don't think it's 2019 again.
Yeah, no, that's probably valid. Right. And it's hard because, that team, I was talking about the importance of home ice advantage in the NHL. And I know people are like, it doesn't matter that much. I'm like, well, let's go look in the first round. The last 3 years, home team has won 19 out of 24 series, right? Last year, there was only one road team that won. So it definitely, it still matters. And that's why I'm sure if you're the LA Kings, the way you're playing at home, you'd want to they want something different than starting in Edmonton. I still think Edmonton might have maybe a psychological advantage, especially if they could go in and win game 1. And all of a sudden, geez, we did all this for nothing. We'll see. And I love rivalry. So I know some people are like, I want to change the format. I'm like, give me a break. I love
No, I don't want to hear that nonsense. Because a lot of years when if you went 1-8, it'd be the same matchups anyway.
Well, exactly. Edmonton
4 or 5 teams would be 100-point teams anyway. So what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, 3, 6, and 4, because usually there's 6 100-point teams, Dennis,
right,
every year. So we're always going to have 4 100-point teams facing off against each other. It doesn't matter if it's 3 and 6 or 2 versus 3 in each conference. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's parity. There's really good teams are going to get knocked out. Boo-hoo, win the games, win 4 games.
Yeah, very true. Dennis, always good to catch up with you, my man. We'll probably be talking to you a lot over the next few weeks for sure.
Always great being on your show, JG. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
That's Dennis Bernstein from the Fourth Period and Sirius XM. Like, honestly, if you look at the 1-8, what's the major difference? Like, you're still usually, I went back and looked, and every year there's 6 teams in each conference that are 100-point teams. So the top 2, just like now, would get the 2 wild cards. And then the other 4 100-point teams, they're playing each other. Like, there's going to be good teams going out in the first round every year. Every year. That's why it's hard. That's why the playoffs are so awesome. You know what? There is a benefit to being the top seed, but that doesn't mean you'll win. Doesn't guarantee you win. Like, it'd be, imagine Winnipeg and the Blues are red hot and they go into the playoffs and like that Gabe Velarde injury, man. Don't sleep on that. He's a huge piece of that team in Winnipeg. That's a big loss if he's not. They got to hope, just no different than McDavid. Well, obviously not on the level of McDavid, but certain guys injured, like injuries can play such a role for teams winning and losing. We've seen it every year because guys can, quote, play, but they're not healthy, right? So they're not as impactful. Final break. We'll come back. We'll get to the lineup report and more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Nuggets. This is Nuggets Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of Nuggets Nuggets.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Edmonton's go-to station for all things sports is Sports 1440.
From Low Tide to Kevin Carrius and Jason Gregor, we deliver the latest on your favorite teams.
Tune in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week
to Sports 1440.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th. Don't miss the Champions Luncheon on Friday, April 25th at the Edmonton Convention Center. Tables are on sale now. This year's event is hosted by accomplished sports journalist and author Scott Morrison and features the legendary locker room tales of Mike Keenan. Iron Mike grew from a highly respected NHL player to one of the most passionate coaches in hockey history. For more information or to purchase your Champions Luncheon table, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Your furnace can die in the blink of an eye, usually on the coldest night. So why take that chance this winter? Furnace Family, ATCO's newest home service company, can help. Not sure of your furnace's condition? We can check it for free with the purchase of a new furnace, giving you peace of mind and total comfort all winter long. Daikin offers lifetime warranty on their furnace heat exchangers. It could be the last furnace you ever buy. So call Furnace Family, Home Services by ATCO today. Jingle time.
Done right, day or night, FurnaceFamily.com.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Gregor and Halley with you, Sports 1440. Reminder, the pregame show extended edition coming up at the conclusion of our show. Of course, the Oilers taking on the Dallas Stars. Tonight, the Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50 and get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. So, good luck. Good luck. You know, I always like it when people text in, hey, man, we won. Well, that's awesome. Hey, always want to win now. Stay within your limits. Use your game sense. GameSenseAB.ca. Hey, Gregor, great discussion with Dennis. Just like sitting in a living room listening to a couple of diehards go at it. Awesome. Thanks from Mark. Well, hey, Mark, we appreciate it, man. Yeah, Bernstein's great. Love having him on the show. Loves hockey, right? Talks openly about all the teams around the league. So it's great. Obviously, is in LA, so covers the Kings. Fantastic. And we'll be talking to him lots because it does look like it's a collision course again, the Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. And wouldn't it be interesting if the Kings ended up 5 points out of the Oilers? Because the last 3 years when the Oilers faced the Kings, every year they had 5-point ball, John. Beat them every time. 7, 6, and then 5. So got better. Could it be a sweep? Oof. 1988, Oilers started on the road, swept the Flames en route to their fourth Stanley Cup. Never know. Everybody thought the Flames, that was going to be the year. And then Edmonton went in. That's when the Gretzky shorthanded coming down the left side, top shelf over Vernon's right shoulder. No, Vernon's left shoulder. Gretzky was coming down the left side, put it far side. Woo. You didn't see Gretzky take many clappers, though, but he ripped it there. Let's get to our lineup report brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, home of the $50 bi-weekly ATV. Or you can be on a boat this summer for as low as $105 bi-weekly. Stop in. Hockey fans, helping hockey fans, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. The Edmonton Oilers lineup, very similar to what you saw a few nights ago on Saturday against the Seattle Kraken. You'll have Nugent Hopkins with Arvidsson and Podkolzin, Henrique with Hyman and Kapanen, Janmark, Brown, and Skinner. They were the Oilers' best line last game. Skinner played a season-high 18 minutes. Then you have Derek Ryan, Max Jones, Corey Perry. On defense, Nurse and Wallman, Ekholm and Bouchard, Kulak, Troy Stetcher, in goal, Stewart, Skinner. The Dallas Stars, they will have Jake Ottinger starting. No Miro Heiskanen. He's still injured on the back end. Harley with Lyubushkin, Lindell and Ceci, Fischl and Dumba. He's huge on the back end. Pretty physical D pair. Then you got Ruppe Hintz with Rantanen and Marchment, Duchesne, Granlund, Robertson, Johnson, Dadonov, Ben, Steele, Blackwell, and Oscar Bach. So there you go. Should be a heck of a game. Oilers, I mean, they need to win. They want to get home ice. You got to win, I think, 2 or 3 games here. They play 3 of the next 4. Dallas, Seattle tomorrow, and then back home against Calgary on Saturday. So lots of hockey to discuss for us and all you Oiler fans and hockey fans in general. Have yourselves a wonderful night. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Cougar, stay tuned for the pregame show coming up after a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice as they introduce 3 new food options with new ingredients to create new cravings. Guacamole chicken panini, guacamole black bean wrap, and the egg and chipotle black bean wrap. Visit the nearest Booster Juice today and try it. Good night.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Game day, the Oilers hosting the Stars down at Rogers Place. Puck drop 8:22 in this one. Pre-game coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson coming up next year on Sports 1442 games underway. Both midway through the first. Canucks and Islanders are scoreless. Out in Chicago, the Devils lead the Blackhawks 2-0. Later tonight, you got the Ducks taking on the Bruins down in Anaheim. In the association, Raptors lead the Nets 15-8. Early on in the first quarter, you also got the Wizards on top of the Sixers 58-47, and the Knicks have an 18-7 lead over the Clippers in the first quarter. Still to come, Bucks in Denver and the Suns taking on the Celtics beat OHL after 20 minutes. Hillary Knight has the Boston Fleet on top of Toronto 1-0. And in the AJ this evening, you got playoff action continuing. Cody Exos Calgary. Canucks lead that series 2-1. Fort Mac up against Whitecourt, trailing 2-1. Camor and Drumheller meet in Drumheller. Dragons leading that series 2-1. And the Storm can complete the sweep over the Bobcats tonight out in Lloyd. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. The boys will be back for postgame as soon as it ends down at Rogers Place. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440.
A Stingray.